Chapter 371, Pip Pip. Today was another fulfilling day. As Sejun prepared to leave for the waypoint. Chairman Park will go ahead, meow. Theo said to Sejun while holding the bundle. Piot and Urin, who had packed their luggage, were already standing behind Theo. Huh, where are you going? Sejun, who thought they were leaving together, asked. Pew hut, that's right, meow. We're going to earn some money, meow. I Vice Chairman Theo. Theo explained that he was going with Urin to catch debtors and swindlers who were on Urin's blacklist. Urin, who needed Theo to collect the money, showed his blacklist to Sejun with a pitiful look. Wow, you've really been ripped off a lot. Sejun was shocked as he checked the amounts written on the blacklist. Among the 15 names on the blacklist, the amount next to the name at the very bottom was 1 trillion tower coins. And when Theo mentioned that they would split the money 50-50. As expected of Vice Chairman Theo, great job, that's right, yes, we should help each other, go ahead. Sejun urged Theo to leave quickly. Pew hut, got it, meow, we'll be back soon, meow. Okay, have a safe trip. Theo, excited by Sejun's praise, rubbed his face vigorously against Sejun's knee, one last time before leaving with Piot, Urin, and the slaves. Except for the skeletons, they were to descend to the 4th floor of the tower separately. Sejun instructed the crying skeleton gang, who had become slaves, to receive orders from the King of Farming and gave the King of Farming 5 dragon warrior helmets to protect themselves. Clatter. Then we'll be going too. The King of Farming, who had risen from the youngest of the crying skeleton gang to the highest position of power, led the crying skeleton gang and the 5 dragon warriors down the tower. As the King of Farming moved, also it was Sejun Nim. Dragon Tooth soldiers, Sejun KQM. As the three connected in his mind, the King of Farming realized who the skeleton was that led Kodo on the path to overthrow the bone caste system. 10th tower, 1st floor. All right, it's finished. Stella smiled as she completed the voice message orb. The surroundings had small hills here and there, because Stella had dug around looking for materials to make the voice message orb. Wung. Stella infused the orb with magic power and recorded her voice. And then, transport. She sent the voice message orb to Sejun. Could have said it a little more gently. The administrator of the 10th tower, who had been listening, spoke with concern. The administrator was worried that the person who received Stella's voice message orb and had passed the trial of the 10th tower might get offended and not come. 99th floor of the Black Tower. On the way to the farm, riding on Toryang. It'll be completely dark soon. Sejun said, looking at the darkening sky. A little later. Master, we have arrived. Have a good night. Yes, good night to you too, Toryang. Sejun, who had arrived at the farm, greeted Toryang and Pipieralong, Kirorong, Arorong, Kirorong. He put the already sleeping 4 into bed. And then Sejun lay down on the bed. Gulp. You have consumed medicinal mugwort. All stats increase by 20. Your lifespan increases by 3 months. You have consumed a bitter-tasting medicine. Talent, a medicine that's bitter is good for stamina activates. Stamina increases by 9. It's still really bitter as expected. Sejun fell asleep, ending the 384th day after eating medicinal mugwort. Snore. As everyone fell into a deep sleep. When the sky was completely dyed black. Pip Pip. Peacebees, the nocturnal golden bat clinging to Sejun's shoulder, started its day. TL. Peacebees is the name of golden bat that is being used from this chapter onwards. Peacebees is the sound that the golden bat makes, which I have translated as Pip Pip. Pip Pip, good night everyone. Peacebees greeted everyone quietly enough not to disturb the sleeping group. Pip Pip, I'm hungry. Flap flap. It quietly flew outside and headed to the kitchen. On the table in the kitchen, there were fruits that Sejun had prepared for Peacebees to eat. There were elixir cherry tomatoes, grapes, watermelons, and all the other fruits that Sejun was growing. Slurp, slurp. Pip, pip, it's so delicious. Peace filled its belly with fruit juice. It went to the pineapple field where the screaming pineapple field cut a pineapple and pressed down on the pineapple that was about to scream with its wings. Pip, pip, success. Peace was doing alone what it couldn't do with Sejun during the day because it was sleeping. Pip, I can only handle it once. As expected, Brother Kyungi's strength is amazing. Having made a single screaming pineapple silent once, Peace flew to a deserted cave in the east. Peace, seemingly familiar with the cave, went in without hesitation and settled in the center of a large open space. Then, Pip Pip storm fist. One pip slash. Pip Pip who. It started its night workout, using the skills it had learned from its older brothers. Peace drill storm. It practiced the combined skill of Theo and Kyungi, inserting its own name. One pip fist. Pip pip destruction fist. Pip rush. Peace repeatedly used Theo and Kyungi's new techniques, modifying them to fit its body, and then came out of the cave. It seemed the sun was rising, as the sky was getting a bit brighter. I'm getting a bit tired. Peace hurried back to the farm, washed its body in the bathhouse. Pip pip, Blackie will love this. As an older brother wanting to prepare a snack for the youngest, Peace placed cherry tomatoes in Fenrir's secret stash. The cherry tomatoes Fenrir saw yesterday among the carrots and cherry tomatoes weren't placed there by the black rabbit but by Peace. There were too many who knew about the so-called secret stash. Pip pip, today was another fulfilling day, time to sleep now. Peace finished its day by clinging to Sejun's thigh and falling asleep in stealth mode. All right. Sejun woke up and sat up. During sleep, you have stored 10% of your life force. The life orb is 0.75% complete. 1 magic power has accumulated over 24 hours. Magic power increased by 0.1. Sejun grinned widely at the message, marked the date on the wall, and strolled around the farm. At that moment, why is this here? Sejun said as he picked up a single screaming pineapple from the ground. Did I forget about it? Sejun put the pineapple into the void storage and continued walking. All right, this spot looks good, land moving. Sejun laid stones on a 5-square-meter path frequented by the mushroom ants and created Lee Road. Lee, the god of abundance, who will enrich our pockets with the harvest elixir. She is a good god. He inscribed the benefactor's achievement on the stone, creating Lee Road. Since it was post-paid and he hadn't received the harvest elixir yet, he wrote will enrich instead of enriched to reflect the future. After making Lee Road, Sejun headed to the kitchen to prepare breakfast. Someone had a good meal. Sejun confirmed the fruit remnants on the table and prepared breakfast. Meanwhile, Pipayak, Kyung. Yes, good morning. Black Rabbit, Kyungi and Ajax exchanged morning greetings as they woke up, and Kilyat Kaying. Hee, is my secret stash still there? As soon as Fenrir woke up in bed, he excitedly ran towards his secret stash. And then, Kaying. Who could it be this time? Fenrir began identifying suspects upon seeing his secret stash filled with cherry tomatoes. However, judging by the fact that they didn't give a thumbs up even after making eye contact with him, it didn't seem like it was the black rabbits doing this time. Kaying. This place is no longer safe. Fenrir decided to create a second secret stash. A short while later. Ajax, have a good trip. Yes, Hyung. Kyung. Kyungi is going to gather herbs. Pipayak. Uncle, I'm going too. After breakfast, Ajax headed to the White Tower, Kyungi went to the Western Forest, and the Black Rabbit left for the waypoint where the Minotaur King was. And then, Kilyat Kayang. Hee, secret stash number 2 will never be discovered. Leaving Fenrir, who was diligently digging to the right of the Creator God's tablet, Sejun moved to the largest cornfield on the farm. For reference, Fenrir's first secret stash was to the left of the Creator God's tablet. Aileen, can you give me the Fenrir's 0.5% core fragment? Arriving at the field, Sejun asked for the fragment of Fenrir's core that he had got yesterday. He planned to test whether the crops that received the Great Achievement reward after dealing with the locusts could truly absorb the power of destruction. The tower's administrator says okay. When Aileen responded and the core fragment appeared in Sejun's palm, he buried it shallowly in the ground. After burying the core fragment, drip, drip, Sejun moved to the place where he had planted the thick darkness cherries and dropped a drop of the harvest elixir on the sprouts. Creak, creak. The cherries grew rapidly. Since he had also used power, abundance, the yield was expected to be high. Sejun then went to the place where the sunflower sprouts were growing. Abundance. Drinking a mugwort juice potion, he used the power on all the planted sunflower sprouts and drip, drip. He dropped a drop of the harvest elixir on 2 of the sprouts. And then, abundance. He used the last remaining drop of the harvest elixir on the kidney bean of soil fertility after using the power, because the brown dragon customer was waiting. After using all the harvest elixir, he returned to the cornfield and took out the fragment of Fenrir's core. 4,999%. How many nines were there? Even a rough count showed over 20. The power of destruction had been absorbed, but only very minutely. It does work, but the effect was too weak. But at least the effect has been confirmed. Sejun decided to bury the piece of Fenrir's core in the ground again and observe it further. Of course, considering how excited Fenrir got over core fragments, Sejun surrounded it with thick stones and buried it deep to prevent Fenrir from taking it out. At that moment, Kaying, I sense my core here. Thud, thud. Fenrir, having belatedly sensed the core fragment, came running. But, Kaying, where is it? As the crops absorbed the power of destruction from the core fragment, it became impossible to pinpoint its exact location. Kaying, I'll find it. Of course, Fenrir wasn't one to give up. But, Blackie, didn't I say not to play in the fields? Fenrir, who was digging up the field, got caught by Sejun and was forcibly put in the sling bag. Kaying, I'll find it someday. With only its head sticking out of the sling bag, Fenrir kept staring at the cornfield until Kirorong. It fell asleep. This bag is just too comfortable. While Sejun was carrying Fenrir and examining the crops that were rapidly growing as they absorbed the harvest elixir, the 10th Tower's assistant, the great silver dragon Stella Hisron, has sent you a voice message orb. To receive the voice message orb, 1 million tower coins are required. Do you wish to receive the voice message orb? A message appeared. Yes, I'll receive it. There was no reason not to receive it, since delivering it to Chrysella would yield a 10,000-fold profit. 1 million tower coins have been paid. You have acquired the voice message orb. Aileen, please deliver this to Chrysella Nim when she comes. Sejun immediately handed the received orb to Aileen. The tower's administrator asks if you don't need to listen to it. Yes, I won't listen. It was obvious that it would be Stella angrily asking why he hadn't come to the 10th tower quickly. This way, he could avoid hearing Stella's wrath-filled voice. Sejun had made a very wise decision. Underground of the tower's land. Oh, this works. Flamey marveled as it absorbed the red mist through its roots. Sejun's great achievement was producing this effect. Since Flamey was also a crop nurtured by Sejun, it could absorb a very minute amount of the power of destruction. However, the scale of the very minute amount that Flamey absorbed was different. Great, now I can go to other places too. Flamey began to extend its roots into areas it couldn't reach before because of the red mist of destruction. Chapter 372, didn't know he would plant them right away. White Tower's administrator area. Here, drink up. Keahaha, yes, let's drink. With a smile on his face, Kellyan poured Samyangju into Graves' empty glass. But despite Kellyan's smiling expression, his insides were rotting away. Of course, it was understandable. He had been sharing his precious Samyangju with Grave for 3 days already. While waiting for Sejun to harvest crops to revive the dead land, he had brought Grave to the White Tower and was drinking with him. By now, there were over 2,000 empty bottles of Samyangju rolling around. Stop drinking so much, eat some snacks too. Kellyan sipped a bit of Samyangju and glared at Grave with a murderous look. But this clueless guy was just drinking straight Samyangju without even touching the snacks. To make him drink the Samyangju slowly, Kellyan had even brought out roasted frog legs, a snack enjoyed by the inhabitants of the White Tower. But after taking one bite of the frog leg and grimacing, Grave was only drinking Samyangju. Of course, he didn't eat the snacks himself either. But that was because his palate had been spoiled by Sejun's snacks. He used to enjoy those snacks with his drinks. But this guy who hasn't even tasted Sejun's snacks. Kellyan found Grave, who hadn't even tasted Sejun's snacks but was picky about his food, extremely annoying. While Kellyan was giving Grave a disapproving look. Kellyan, pour me another. Grave, having downed his Samyangju in one shot, held out his empty glass. The host had only sipped, yet this guy was doing shots, really a clueless bastard. Kellyan, hang in there. The VIP status at the Dragon Market is not far off. Kellyan clenched his fists unconsciously and then relaxed them, steeling his resolve. Then, Wahaha, yes, drink up. Putting on a service smile, he poured more Samyangju into Grave's glass. I should ask Sejun once more. At the same time, he sent the white dragon statue to find Sejun. 99th floor of the Black Tower. You have harvested thick darkness cherry. Your job experience has increased slightly. Your proficiency in harvesting LV8 has increased slightly. You have gained 70 experience points. Sejun harvested cherries from 2 cherry trees that had rapidly grown using the harvest elixir. After a while, hehe, it's done. Sejun looked at the basket full of cherries with a satisfied smile. Thanks to using power, abundance, the harvest quantity had doubled, resulting in nearly 4,000 cherries. And then, your soul feels fulfilled from the abundant harvest. Mental strength has increased by 2. His mental strength increased. Material abundance enriched his spirit. Aileen, here are some cherries. After sending cherries for Aileen to eat. Shall I try one? He put a cherry in his mouth. Then, you have consumed thick darkness cherry. A slight power of darkness accumulates in your body. Your destructive power has slightly increased. Messages appeared. Good, I've become stronger. Feeling very slightly stronger, Sejun rotated his right arm. And then, Kurarong. Hehe, super weakling Blackie, the gap between us has grown wider now. Looking down at Fenrir sleeping soundly in the sling bag, he felt smug. Sejun was very happy to have Fenrir, who was weaker than him. Sejun ate a few more cherries and then said, Now let's go harvest sunflower seeds. He headed to the lushly blooming sunflower field and began harvesting sunflower seeds. And following that, harvesting the kidney bean of soil fertility as well. Kaisernam, here are 3,500 thick darkness cherries. Sejun went to find Kaiser and handed over the remaining cherries. Ha, thank you, take this. Kaiser handed Sejun 3.5 billion tower coins. Each cherry was worth 100,000 tower coins. After delivering the cherries to Kaiser, where should I look for Kellyan? As Sejun was about to search for Kellyan. Sejun. Kellyan, who had been hiding in the cherry tomato field, called out to Sejun in a quiet voice as he passed by. Oh, Kellyan, I was just looking for you. Really, could it be that the crop to revive the dead land is finally ready? Yes, here. Sejun handed him the kidney bean of soil fertility. Finally, Kellyan, excitedly looking at the kidney bean of soil fertility, hurriedly swallowed them and sent them to his main body. And then, Wahaha, thank you, Sejun, Aileen. He called out to Aileen and disappeared. He intended to get a contract from Aileen and make a deal with Grave immediately. I guess I'll give him the sunflower seeds a bit later. It was obvious that he would rush back soon to increase his cumulative purchase amount. Sejun put the sunflower seeds in his pocket and, "Num, you have consumed Aileen's healthier meatball piece. You must eat all the pieces to get the effect. 75 pieces remaining." He had a simple lunch with 3 pieces of meatball that Aileen had made for him. Slurp. Ah, nice. While Sejun was taking a break, drinking coffee after his lunch. Congratulations, Grandpa Kellyan, on becoming a VIP of the Dragon Market. Kellyan handed the signed contract from Grave to Aileen and became a VIP of the Dragon Market. Wahaha, thank you. Kellyan was delighted at Aileen's congratulations. But then, what? I'm not the 4th but the 5th VIP. Kellyan had to hear the shocking news. Yes, the 4th VIP is Grandma Brachio. Don't tell me Brachio brought Artemis. No, Grandma Brachio's cumulative purchase amount at the Dragon Market exceeded 1 trillion tower coins, so she became a VIP. What? You can become a VIP of the Dragon Market with a cumulative purchase amount of 1 trillion tower coins. Yes, haven't you heard? Now, if your cumulative purchase amount exceeds 1 trillion tower coins, you can become a VIP of the Dragon Market. How can this be? Kellyan, who had been hiding, finally learned that the Dragon Market regulations had changed. He also found out that if the cumulative monthly purchase amount exceeded 300 billion tower coins, the VIP period would be automatically extended by 30 days. And then, my Samyangju. What pained him the most was the 2,100 bottles of Samyangju he drank to keep Grave around. During that time, Grave had drunk an additional 100 bottles of Samyangju. Black Tower, 50th floor. Theo and Piat followed Urin to capture the debtor at the bottom of the blacklist, arriving in front of a large castle. Theonim, it's here. Puhu Hut, so this is where that guy named Grawl lives. Theo smirked as he looked at the castle gate. Yes, Grawl is the guy who borrowed 1 trillion tower coins from me. Initially, the debt was 1 million tower coins, but Urin explained how he ended up lending Grawl 1 trillion tower coins. Strangely, every time Grawl put his arm around my shoulder and asked, "Do you have any money?" I found myself lending him money. Meow. Pio. It was obvious to anyone that Urin was being extorted, but Urin looked genuinely confused. So nowadays, when I meet Grawl, I don't carry any money with me. With an innocent expression, Urin proudly shared his strategy for dealing with Grawl. Such a temptingly naive pushover, meow. Theo was once again swayed by Urin's gullibility. No, this wouldn't do, meow. Chairman Park wouldn't like this, meow. Hurry up and lead the way, meow. Theo urged Urin, stealing his resolve. Yes, let's go. Urin stepped forward and knocked on the castle gate. Then, well, look who it is, if it isn't my rich friend. With the sound of heavy footsteps, the massive door opened lightly, and Grawl, a 10-meter-tall muscular hippopotamus, greeted Urin. And then, my rich friend, do you have some money? I'd be pretty disappointed if you do. Grawl tried to place one of his fingers on Urin's shoulder. It wasn't even an arm around the shoulder, just a finger. At that moment, Puhu-hut, stop right there, meow. Theo blocked Grawl's finger with his front paw and shouted, HMPH, this little. Grawl scoffed and tried to shake off Theo's paw lightly, but, what kind of strength is this? Grawl's finger didn't budge. Puhu-hut, Grawl, do you have money, meow? No, I don't. Puhu-hut, think carefully before you answer, meow. If I find it, it's 1 strike per tower coin, meow. Theo started to extort Grawl. I really don't have any, go ahead and search. Grawl, still not grasping the situation, blatantly lied and raised his voice. But, Hut, don't lie, meow. Theo wasn't just any ordinary cat. In an instant, he pulled out the money pouch hidden in Graal's clothes and checked the amount inside. Hut, 10 billion tower coins, so that's 10 billion strikes, meow. 10 billion meow slaps. Slap, slap. What erg? Graal, hit by Theo's hastily created new technique, the 10 billion meow slaps, which involved slapping 10 billion times, fainted. I could only hit him 100 million times, meow. What a shame, meow. Theo regretted not being able to complete the 10 billion strikes, as Graal fainted before he could finish. Piet. Press. Meanwhile, Piet stamped Graal's finger on the slave contract while he was unconscious. And then, Theonim, can I hit him too? Gaining courage from seeing Graal faint, Urin bought the right to hit Graal 100 times for 10 billion tower coins from Theo. You bad guy, why am I your friend? Huh, do you know how much I didn't want to lend you money? Thwack, thwack. While Urin, who claimed to have lent the money, was hitting Graal with all his might. Hut found it, meow. Theo found Graal's secret stash and split the 1 trillion tower coins with Urin, 50-50. Hut, lead me to the next closest debtor, meow. Heta, yes. Feeling a bit relieved after hitting Graal, Urin was confident that he could collect money from any opponent with Theo by his side. So he led Theo to Iguan, who was 5th on the blacklist. Next to the name Iguan, an amount of 4.3 trillion tower coins was written. Slurp. Sejun. As expected. Sejun, who was drinking coffee, put down his cup when he saw Kellyan, who had become a VIP of the Dragon Market, coming to find him. It was probably to extend his VIP period and to be the first to become a VVIP. Sejun sold 4,000 sunflower seeds, along with Samyangju and Transcendence black beans, to Kellyan for 300 billion tower coins. And then, guys, I'm here, I'm also a VIP too. No longer needing to hide, Kellyan shouted with a voice full of resentment as he flew to the fountain where other dragon statues were gathered. After finishing the transaction with Kellyan and about to start his afternoon farming, it has been confirmed that Auric, the tower farmer of the Brown Tower, has planted kidney bean of soil fertility without permission. According to the tower's laws, Brown Tower's tower farmer Auric will become a slave of the Black Tower's tower farmer Park Sejun for the next 100 years. Messages appeared. Oh, come to think of it, when Sejun handed the kidney bean of soil fertility to Kellyan, he didn't give permission to plant them. He certainly didn't do it on purpose to make a slave. I just gave them for him to check. I didn't know he would plant them right away. Thanks to that, Auric, the tower farmer of the Brown Tower, became Sejun's 5th slave. According to the job trait, you borrow 0.2% of Auric's stats, the tower farmer of the Brown Tower. Strength increased by 10, stamina by 7, agility by 17, and magic power by 16. Messages indicating the stat increase appeared. Oh my, I feel bad about this. Sejun felt sorry for Auric, the tower farmer of the Brown Tower. But, Hazeli. Laughter spilled from his mouth. It was indeed befitting of Chairman Park, who commanded Vice Chairman Theo. At that moment, you have achieved the feat of commanding 5 tower farmers. A message appeared that made Sejun laugh even more. Chapter 373, Am I Invincible Now? On the 63rd floor of the Brown Tower. On the ground, where most of the land is wrought in a dark reddish color. Hugh, will this really work? A red goblin with red skin looked down at a brown bean and spoke. Even though the description said it could revive dead land, but he was skeptical about its actual effectiveness. It's what the great brown dragon Grave ordered. Auric, the tower farmer of the Brown Tower, brushed aside his doubts and planted the bean in the rotten land. And then, you have planted the kidney bean of soil fertility. You have planted crops belonging to Park Sejun, the tower farmer of the Black Tower, without permission, who holds the exclusive cultivation rights. According to the laws of the tower, Auric, The tower farmer of the Brown Tower will be Park Sejun's slave for 100 years. A message appeared. No way have I been sold. Auric, seeing the message, thought that Grave had sold him into slavery. It was a reasonable suspicion since Grave had ordered him to plant the bean. Grave sold me. While Auric despaired over the fact that Grave had sold him. Wiggle, wiggle. The kidney bean of soil fertility took root quickly in the rotten land without dying. As a reward for the achievement of the great farmer, the job trait that allows you to borrow the stats of slave tower farmers has been enhanced. According to the job trait, you borrow 0.3% of the stats of Ajax, the tower farmer of the White Tower. A rise from 0.2% to 0.3%, a 0.1% increase. It wasn't a large number, but in relative terms it was significant. And then, wow, am I invincible now? It was such a huge number that it made Sejun, the sunfish, say something reckless. Despite his overflowing confidence, Sejun didn't think about summoning Auric, the tower farmer of the Brown Tower. For Sejun, who prioritized safety, doing anything alone was absolutely unthinkable. My total stats have increased by almost 1,000. After checking his stats and grinning with satisfaction, Sejun said, Blackie, you're in big trouble now. You absolutely can't beat me anymore. Heh. He gently scratched the belly of Fenrir, who was sleeping soundly in the sling bag. Kang. Be quiet, I'm sleeping. Keep scratching my belly. Fenrir, disturbed by Sejun's voice, whimpered but fell back asleep as Sejun continued to scratch. At that moment, your soul feels fulfilled with your great growth. Mental strength has increased by 1. A message appeared in front of Sejun. Why only 1? I'm incredibly pleased right now. Sejun tried to explain to the message just how pleased he was, but the message didn't change. Chi, you're as stubborn as a pumpkin. You don't understand my feelings. Grumbling, Sejun headed to the pumpkin field. HMPH, pumpkin, no matter what you do, you're still just a pumpkin. He took out his frustration by harvesting the poison-detoxifying Japanese pumpkin. Sejun held grudges. Done. After venting his frustration and finishing the pumpkin harvest. Bzzz. Hello, Sejunim. Rub. The poisonous queen bee, who had completed her royal jelly-making practice, landed on Sejun's shoulder and rubbed her body against his cheek. Hi, did you finish your practice well? Bzzz. Yes, I made something amazing. The poisonous queen bee responded enthusiastically, drawing large circles in the air several times. I'm getting a bad feeling. Sejun began to feel uneasy looking at the poisonous queen bee. Just as strong denial is affirmation, the poisonous queen bee's strong confidence meant it was probably not going to taste good. Unaware of Sejun's worries. Bzzz. This time you will really like it. I finally developed my own special recipe. The poisonous queen bee exuded even stronger confidence, and a special recipe, it was very unsettling. Bzzz. The great queen liked it too. Fortunately, this time the confidence was well-founded. Really, let me take a look. Hearing that even the great queen bee liked it, Sejun quickly held out his palm. All the royal jelly made by the great queen bee had been delicious, so this should be fine too. Bzzz. Yes, here you go. At Sejun's words, the poisonous queen bee took out a golden royal jelly hidden in her fur and placed it in Sejun's palm. Sweet golden royal jelly. The color and name were already a pass. But complacency was dangerous. Checking the options was essential. This was how Sejun, as weak as a sunfish, managed to survive on the 99th floor of the Black Tower filled with strong. One of the secrets was Sejun's caution, who always knocked on a bridge before crossing it. Of course, the biggest secret to Sejun's survival was enticing the strong with food. Let's see. Sejun checked the options of the royal jelly. Sweet golden royal jelly. This royal jelly was made with a special recipe improved by the poisonous queen bee, based on the royal jelly manufacturing method taught by the poisonous queen bee. It is made with honey, so it is sweet. When consumed, all stats increase by 20. When consumed, your body will emit a sweet taste and smell for 1 hour. Creator Poisonous Queen Bee. Expiration date 100 years. Grade A+. Fortunately, the options were good and the taste was good too. Even though the body emitted a sweet taste and smell for an hour, it wasn't a life-threatening issue, unlike before. But I haven't given her a name yet. We've been together for so long. Sejun felt a pang of guilt, seeing that the creator was just labeled as the poisonous queen bee. And then, what should I name her? He hurriedly began to think of a name for the poisonous queen bee. Since she buzzes, so buzzy. Since she's a poison bee, so poison bee. Since she's the first poison bee, so first bee. Sejun could only come up with terrible names. After much deliberation, he decided on a name for the poisonous queen bee. All right, from now on your name is Sweetie. Since honey is sweet, Sweetie it is. Bzzz, bzzz. Really? Did you just give me a name, Sejun? Yeah, do you already have a name? Does she have a name and I just never asked? That thought made Sejun feel even guiltier. As Sejun felt embarrassed. Bzzz, bzzz, bzzz. No, I don't have a name. I'm so happy to have a name. Fortunately, the poisonous queen bee, now Sweetie, liked the name Sejun gave her and rubbed her body against Sejun's face. And so, another victim was added to Sejun's nomming spree. Haha, I really do come up with good names. Gaining more confidence, Sejun looked forward to the next time Sejun's nomming shop would open. Bzzz. Sejunim, Sweetie will go to sleep now. Sweetie, tired from making royal jelly since morning, went back to her hive. Num. Sejun popped the royal jelly that Sweetie had given him into his mouth. Haha, it's delicious. The floral fragrance and honey sweetness lingered in Sejun's mouth, leaving a long-lasting aftertaste. As the royal jelly melted away. You have consumed Sweetie's sweet golden royal jelly. All stats increased by 20. Your body will emit a sweet taste and smell for 1 hour. A message appeared. Thanks to giving her a name, the royal jelly's name had changed. But does my body really smell sweet? I can't really tell. Sejun sniffed himself to check. At that moment, Fenrir, who had been sleeping in the sling bag, opened his eyes wide. And then, kaying. I smell something sweet, a strong sweet smell. Sniffing around, Fenrir climbed up Sejun's body, following the scent. Lick, lick, lick. And started licking Sejun's neck vigorously. Haha, stop licking. Sejun, feeling ticklish, hurriedly pulled Fenrir off. Then, lick, 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 lick. Fenrir turned his head and aimed his short tongue at Sejun's neck, persistently trying to lick him again. Hey, you'll break your neck at this rate. Sejun had no choice but to offer his hand to Fenrir, fearing he might get hurt. Kaykilavit kaying. Hee, it's sweet, it's delicious. Fenrir was excited by the sweetness coming from Sejun's hand. Thank goodness others aren't around. If they were here, I guess I'm pretty lucky. As Sejun thought while watching Fenrir. You have overcome an unpleasant reality with a mental victory. Your soul feels filled with satisfaction. Mental strength has increased by 3. His mental strength had risen. This is really. He was increasingly dissatisfied with the system. A moment later. 1 hour has passed, and the sweet taste and smell from your body have dissipated. As the effect of Sweetie's sweet golden royal jelly wore off. Kaying. It's salty. Fenrir, who had been licking Sejun's hand, spat out his saliva. Damn Blackie. Sejun felt annoyed, thinking about how he had tolerated having his hand covered in drool. For dinner tonight, you'll get roasted sweet potato strips made from sweet potatoes harvested by Ophelia. He decided to get petty revenge, using the tasteless crops from Ophelia. Black Tower, 3rd floor. Is this where the accident happened again? Michael McLaren, vice chairman of Gagel, asked while looking at the site of the Experience Point Farm accident. Having rushed over from handling company affairs on Earth, his voice was full of irritation. Yes, as you can see, his subordinate answered in a subdued voice. Just by looking at the surrounding blood, one could tell. And the culprit behind this situation was a mutated cherry tomato with a giant 1-meter diameter cherry tomato head. Around its mouth hung the tattered clothes of hunters it hadn't fully consumed. These kinds of mutations had occasionally been appearing in the Experience Point Farm on the 3rd floor of the tower recently. How many times has this happened already? Didn't I tell you to burn them from a distance? Yes, but sometimes there are hunters who don't follow the control measures. This is frustrating, so have you found the cause of these mutations? Well, we examined the tissues of the mutants, but there is no difference from other contaminated cherry tomatoes. Sigh, I got it. For now, burn everything and control it so they absolutely can't get close in the future. Yes, burn it all. The subordinates, following Michael's orders, began to set the Experience Point Farm ablaze. Damn it, the board's pressure to expand the Experience Point Farm has been intense lately. Should I clear this place out? As Michael considered whether to clear the burning Experience Point Farm. Don't you need power? A whisper echoed in Michael's mind. Of course I need power, unstoppable, overwhelming power. Always desiring great power, Michael answered the whisper without hesitation. Then come find me. Where are you? If you focus on my voice, you will find me. Drawn by the irresistible voice, Michael felt increasingly compelled. The voice was coming from within the burning Experience Point Farm. Come and take me. Understood. Following the voice, Michael stepped into the Experience Point Farm. Though it seemed like he would soon be engulfed by the flames, a red mist parted the fire, greeting Michael. Guided by the red mist, Michael ventured deeper into the farm. Is this it? He discovered a single black orb lying on the ground. Yes, that is me. Pick me up, and you will gain immense power that no one can stop. Immense power. Michael muttered in a daze as he picked up the orb. Kehahaha, you are now the strongest. Together, we will kill the dragons managing the Black Tower and dominate it. The strongest, hehe, yes, let's kill the dragons together. As Michael picked up Fenrir's core fragment, his eyes turned blood red. And then, twitch twitch, the contaminated cherry tomatoes began transforming into mutants in response to Michael's aura. Black Tower, 99th floor. Before Sejun had his dinner. Guys, gather around. He called Black Rabbit, Kyungi, Ajax, and Veronica to stand in front of him. Hee, now it should be safe, right? All right, summon slave number 5. Sejun summoned Auric, the tower farmer of the Brown Tower. A moment later. Keheke, master, did you call for me? A goblin with red skin appeared, rubbing his hands together eagerly and letting out a sly laugh. Chapter 374. Theonym, can I have just 100 hits? Goblin. Seeing Auric rubbing his palms together and laughing slyly, Sejun instinctively stepped back and took a defensive stance. Hearing that sly laugh made him wary, thinking, is this sneaky creature trying to make me his slave? However, Keek, master, what's the matter? Has slave number 5 done something to displease you? Seeing Sejun's defensive stance, Auric became flustered and rubbed his palms even more fervently. Did I mess up my first impression? What's going on? Sejun looked at Auric with puzzlement. This was the first time he encountered a being who so readily accepted being his slave. At that moment, Kaying. Hey, who are you? Since you're here, you should show your belly and greet the noble Fenrirnim. Fenrir, who was in the sling bag, barked fiercely at the newcomer Auric. And then, for a sunfish to step up to protect me, I'll let this one slide. Sejun, misunderstanding Fenrir's intentions in barking at Auric, allowed Fenrir to avoid Ophelia's punishment of roasted sweet potato snacks, while various misunderstandings were unfolding. "What's that smell?" A delicious scent wafted into Oric's nose, who was still rubbing his palms fervently. It was the smell of the potato soup Sejun had prepared for dinner. Gulp! Without realizing it, Oric swallowed his saliva and looked towards the kitchen, from where the scent was emanating. It had been a long time since he had smelled something this delicious. Ever since the land of the brown tower started to decay, he had been grateful to fill his stomach with whatever food was available. But such a delicious smell, he couldn't resist. If he could just have a bite, he'd have no other wishes. "Keek master, can I have some food?" So he rubbed his palms together even more slyly, with utmost sincerity. A while later, "Slurp. Keek master, you must be a culinary genius. Your soul feels fulfilled from the overflowing praise. Mental strength increases by 1. Slurp. Keek, I've never had such delicious food in my entire life. Your soul feels fulfilled from the overflowing praise. Mental strength increases by 1. Slurp. Keek, I bet there isn't anyone in all 9 towers who can cook better than you, master. Your soul feels fulfilled from the overflowing praise. Mental strength increases by 1. Oric kept praising Sejun while drinking the potato soup. Initially wary because of Oric's sly smile and actions, Sejun realized, "Oric, you were a good guy after all. I judged you too quickly by your appearance." Feeding him resulted in an increase in mental strength, making Oric a mental strength vending machine. "Hee, Oric, do you want more?" Reflecting on his mistake, Sejun offered more potato soup to the mental strength vending machine. "No, Oric. However, Keek master, it's all right. I get full even with a small amount of food." Oric, cluelessly trying to appeal that he was a high-efficiency slave who could eat little and work a lot. The capacity of the mental strength vending machine was too small. "Then it's time to switch tactics. Have some dessert now. Even when you eat a full meal, there's always a separate stomach for dessert. Keek, oh, this fruit called watermelon is really sweet and delicious. Your soul feels fulfilled from the overflowing praise. Mental strength increases by 1. Thanks to that, Sejun was able to raise his mental strength by 1 more while receiving Oric's high praise. "Keek, now I really can't eat anymore." After eating 2 slices of watermelon, the mental strength vending machine Oric exceeded his capacity and lay on the floor with his belly exposed. And then, "Kilahit kaying. Hee, fine, I'll accept your greeting." Fenrir climbed onto Oric's belly, lifted his head, and showed who was higher in the hierarchy. And so, after the meal ended, "Keek, by the way, Sejunum, how much did Gravenum sell me for?" Oric asked Sejun. Although he had been sold into slavery, Oric was curious about his worth. "However, Gravenum didn't sell you. You became a slave because you planted my crops." "What?" "I had just asked Gravenum to take a look, but you planted them." Oric had never been sold. He was simply unlucky. And then, damn it. Bearing the brunt of this misfortune alone, Oric despaired at Sejun's answer. As soon as he became a slave, Oric had cursed Grave with all sorts of profanities, blaming him for selling him out. He even wrote it on the 99th floor of the tower for Grave to see clearly. So now if he ever returned to the Brown Tower, he would be greeted with a breath attack. Then, Sejunum, you won't send me back to the Brown Tower, right, Keek? After all, I am your slave number 5. Oric looked at Sejun with a sly smile and desperate eyes, but, "No, you have to plant the kidney beans that Gravenum is buying from me, you know." Oric was destined to return to the Brown Tower. "Go back and wait there while eating this." Oric returned. "Oh, but I can't." Sejun gave Oric the remaining watermelon and sent him back to the Brown Tower. After Oric left like that, "Kyung, Dad, good night." Kyungi said goodbye to Sejun and went asleep with Pink Fur. "All right, guys, time to sleep." Sejun also took Black Rabbit, Ajax and Fenrir to bed. Then, gulp, Sejun ate medicinal mugwort and fainted, falling asleep. His lifespan was extended by 3 months again today. The grand mansion of the demon family. Dave, is it true that our urine got back 100 billion tower coins from Told and the guys? Urine's mother, Hammy, asked Dave, who reported Urine's information in a voice full of disbelief. Yes, Hamyanim, I personally confirmed it. And on the way here, I heard a rumor that young Master Urine got back 300 billion tower coins from the gray skunk siren. Oh, finally our Urine. Hamy's eyes filled with tears at Dave's words. At that moment, but there's a rumor that a subordinate of the Great Black Dragon is by young Master Urine's side. Dave reported new information. A subordinate of the Great Black Dragon. Yes, he is known as Theo Park, the golden cat who has recently gained fame in the Black Tower these days. He's also called the Slave King. Dave, please continue to follow Urine for now, and also gather information about this Theo Park as well. Understood, Hamyanim, then I will take my leave now. After Dave left, Udo, our Urine. Hamy hurried to find her husband to share the good news. 53rd floor of the Black Tower. Urine, is this the right place, meow? Theo asked in a voice full of annoyance, thinking they had hit a dead end. Yes, I'm sure it's around here, but... Urine looked back and forth between Theo and the map, speaking with uncertainty. The map he bought from the information trader clearly stated that Lizine, who borrowed his money, was here, but there was nothing around. Meow, this won't do, meow. I'll find it myself, meow. Theo placed his front paw on the ground and focused all his senses. And then, Chairman Park helped me, meow. With a sincere heart, he requested help from Sejun. At that moment, whoosh, a breeze blew, moving Theo's whiskers westward. Pew hut, Chairman Park said it's that way, meow, follow me, meow. Theo hurriedly ran west, and the others, clueless, followed him. Chairman Park helped me. Theo continued to seek Sejun's help as he moved in the directions of northwest, southeast. They arrived back at the place Urine had initially indicated on the map. They had come full circle, returning to the original location. Unaware of this, Chairman Park helped me, meow. Theo once again sought help from Sejun. At that moment, whoosh! Luckily, a breeze blew from top to bottom, causing his whiskers to point towards the ground. The map was accurate. It just failed to indicate that it was underground. It's here, meow. Theo shouted, pointing downwards, and then, meow. He pressed his paw firmly against the ground. Then, rumble. The immense strength transmitted from Theo's paw permeated the ground, causing it to collapse. It was the secret move of Vice Chairman Theo, called Meow Press Fist, created while pressing against Sejun's face. Pio. Theonim, there's a passageway here. As expected of Theonim, Piat and Urine shouted, looking at the hole revealed by the collapsed ground. Pew hut, as expected of Chairman Park, meow. Theo praised Sejun as he entered the passageway connected to Lizine's secret hideout. That fool said he couldn't lend me a large sum because he didn't trust me. Do you know what I told him? No. The newly hired hostess shook her head while filling Lizine's glass to the brim. I told him if he didn't trust me, he could keep my tail as collateral and lend me the money. What, your tail? But even if our tails get cut off, they grow back. Exactly, but he didn't know that, ha. As Lizine was boasting about how he made a fortune. Rumble. The ground shook. What's going on? Hey, go find out what's happening. Yes. Lizine commanded the mercenaries he had hired at a high price. A moment later. Thud, thud. There was a sound of something soft being hit, and then. Pew hut found it, meow. A yellow cat entered. Swish. Following the cat, a snow-white bird with a bundle of papers in its beak entered, and Theonim, that's Lizine. Lastly, Urine, the fool who had made him rich, entered. Urine. Yes, you scoundrel, why did you deceive me? Urine shouted angrily at Lizzie. Ha ha ha, what are you talking about? It's the fool's fault for being deceived, not mine for deceiving. Lizzie sneered at Urine. Hey, cat, think it over. I don't know how much that fool is paying you, but you'd make a lot more by just robbing him. He then tried to tempt Theo to steal Urine's money. Lizzie had a lot of money and valued his life, so he only hired strong mercenaries. However, this cat had easily dealt with the mercenaries. There's no chance of winning by force. So he tried to sow discord between Theo and Urine. But, shut up, meow. That was a very wrong choice. Whack. Theo quickly knocked out Lizzie, who was trying to shake his resolve. That was close, meow. It was the whisper of the devil, meow. As Lizzie fainted. Pio. Theonym, the stamp is done. Piet pressed Lizzie's thumb onto the contract. Meanwhile. Theonym, can I have just 100 hits? Pew hut, 10 billion tower coins, meow. Yes. Urine handed the money to Theo and... You scoundrel, it's your fault for deceiving me, not mine for being deceived. Whack whack. He hit Lizzie. Urine seemed to be gradually showing signs of breaking away from being a sucker. Pew hut, now let's find the money, meow. Theo wandered around Lizzie's hideout, searching for the secret vault and opened it. However, there are only 2.1 trillion tower coins, meow. Lizzie had already spent 2.2 trillion tower coins. Smack. Theo woke Lizzie up and asked about the whereabouts of the money. Haha, I spent it all on having fun. I had a blast thanks to you. Lizzie sneered, saying he had spent it all on entertainment. There was no way to recover the money Urine had lent him. However, meow. After a moment of contemplation, Theo soon found a way to get the money back. As always. Pew hut, that looks good, meow. Theo smiled broadly, looking at Lizzie's teeth made of brown gemstones. There seemed to be at least 30 of them. Pew hut, Chairman Park will like this. Theo beamed at the thought of making Sejun happy. Chapter 375, Pew hut. Indeed, I'm a cat with a big heart, meow. Why you're going to pull them out? Lizzie quickly covered his mouth as he saw Theo, greedily eyeing his teeth. Pew hut, that's right, meow. If I take that, the god will offer money to Chairman Park, meow. God, don't tell me you believe in the legend of the jewel of the earth. That's all nonsense. Lizzie shouted, realizing why Theo was trying to pull out his teeth. If you release the soul of the god sealed in the jewel of the earth, the god will repay you with grace. In the past, many had tried to release the soul of the god sealed in the jewel of the earth upon hearing that explanation. But while there were rumors of failures, there were never any of successes. That's why it became a legend, because no one had done it. But, Pew hut, it's not nonsense, meow. Thud. He. Lizzie fainted as he heard Theo's confident shout. Theo had moved behind Lizzie in an instant with cat-like swiftness and struck him on the back of the head. Although Theo's front paw looked like it was wrapped in soft fur, its power was anything but gentle. Boom! The 5-meter-tall, massive body of Lizzie collapsed, shaking the ground. Pop, pop! Theo pried open the mouth of the now unconscious Lizzie and started extracting the jewel of the earth. It was easy since they were lodged between the teeth. It did smell, though. Pew hut, compared to Chairman Park's poop smell, this is nothing, meow. Of course, to Theo, who had been trained by Sejun's poop smell, it was nothing. The harvested jewels, or rather jewel teeth, numbered 31. Pew hut, this is worth 3.1 trillion tower coins, meow. Theo assumed that since Peblos had given a reward of around 100 billion tower coins, other gods would also offer a similar amount as compensation for being saved. So he calculated each jewel of the earth to be worth 100 billion tower coins. The gods who wouldn't meet Theo's expectations in the future were to be pitied. Urine, take this, meow. Theo handed over 2.1 trillion tower coins stored in his bag to Urine. Since he had taken plenty for himself, he generously gave the money to Yurin. Pew hut, indeed I'm a cat with a big heart, meow. As Theo was feeling proud of his generous act. What, I can have all of this. I'll give half to Theonim, it's 50-50 after all. Yurin, not knowing the value of the jewel teeth Theo had kept, readily offered half of the money he received back to Theo. And, Pew hut, all right, meow. Theo was not a heartless cat who would coldly refuse a gift. Thanks to that, the formula in Theo's mind became, split the money with Yurin, the rest is all mine. Yurin, take 100 million tower coins more, meow. Still with a big heart, Theo gave up an additional 100 million tower coins, pocketing 1.049 trillion tower coins in his bag. Let's go, meow. After taking the money, Theo took the lead and went outside. Pio? Yes. Yes. Piot and Yurin grabbed the legs of the unconscious Lizine and dragged him outside. Hehe, Lizine, feel the wrath of my revenge. Here comes the sharp stone. Yurin continued his petty revenge, dragging Lizine along painful paths on purpose. Sejun, who woke up as usual in the morning and was strolling around the farm. Oh, the cabbage flowers have bloomed, Sejun said as he looked at the field where the wind cabbages were planted. Beside them, the radish and cucumber flowers were also in full bloom. I should harvest the seeds later, as Sejun decided on his morning tasks for the day. You have achieved the feat of making the first well-fermented 5-colored bean meju in the tower. The recipe for well-fermented 5-colored bean meju is registered at Cooking LV 9. Your proficiency in Cooking LV 9 has slightly increased. A message appeared. The meju, which had been fermenting while hanging from the ceiling of the cooking area, was finally complete. Hehe, it's finally done. Seeing the message, Sejun grinned foolishly and hurriedly ran to the cooking area. Then he carefully picked up the well-fermented, golden-hued, shimmering meju and checked its options. Well-fermented 5-colored bean meju. The 5-colored beans, which have absorbed ample nutrients in the tower, have been boiled, mashed, and fermented. During the fermentation process, the latent effects of the 5-colored beans have manifested. When consumed over a long period, the strength, stamina, agility, and magic power stats increase randomly. The effect of ingredients increases by 5% due to Cooking LV 9. It has a unique smell, but can produce a deep flavor. Chef Tower Farmer Park Sejun. Shelf life 5 years. Grade A. Oh-ho, random stat increase when consumed long-term. Now that the meju was complete, he would make soy sauce, doenjang, and gochujang, the 3 essential sauces. Then I'll eat them almost every day. TL. Doenjang equals soybean paste and gochujang equals red chili paste. Haha, this is great, really great. Sejun smiled as he filled a prepared jar with meju and made a saltwater solution to pour into the jar. With this, the doenjang and soy sauce were complete. Later, after draining the water, what remains would be doenjang, and the liquid would be soy sauce. Since there wasn't enough chili powder yet, he'd make gochujang later. After finishing the work, time to make breakfast. Sejun began cooking. The breakfast menu was morning bread to dip in leftover potato soup from the previous day. Since he had prepared the dough the day before, all he had to do was bake it. TL. Morning bread aka dinner rolls or morning bibang. Sejun hummed as he cut the dough into appropriate sizes, rolled it into round shapes, and placed them in the brazier. A little while later, as the bread baked, the fragrant smell began to spread around the kitchen. And then, Pibayak. Uncle, good morning. Kyung. Dad, did you sleep well? Sejun Hyung, good morning. Kaying. Hey, I'm hungry, give me food. Awakened by the delicious bread smell, the group happily gathered in the kitchen one by one. Just wait a moment, it's almost done. Sejun placed a plate piled high with bread in the center of the table and set bowls of potato soup in front of each person. In Fenrir's bowl, He tore up the morning bread into small pieces and mixed it with cooled potato soup before giving it to him. And then, "Let's eat now." With Sejun's words, the group began to eat. "Pibayak, Uncle, the bread is so soft." The black rabbit excitedly tore the morning bread and stuffed the buttery-smelling pieces into his mouth. "Kyung kyung. Dad, it's so delicious. Kyungi needs honey." Kyungi, despite having potato soup to dip the bread in, persistently asked honey, as expected of a honey bear. And then, as expected, Sejun Hyung, "Just as you said, dipping it in the potato soup makes it really soft and delicious." Ajax praised Sejun as he dipped his morning bread in the potato soup, just as Sejun had instructed. Lastly, Fenrir. "Nom nom nom." Not even sparing time to bark, he buried his face in his bowl, constantly moving his tongue. "This is happiness." Sejun smiled happily as he watched his companions enjoy the food he made. However, happiness alone couldn't fill his stomach. "What?" Seeing the morning bread quickly disappearing from the plate, Sejun hurriedly began his own meal. "Hehe, this is happiness." With his belly full, the sense of happiness doubled. After breakfast, "Have a good day, everyone." Sejun saw off the black rabbit, Kyungi and Ajax. "Time to work." As he was about to start his morning tasks, the tower's administrator says that Grandma Chrysella has bought Aunt Stella's voice message orb. Aileen sent money to Sejun. 20 billion tower coins. Sejun confirmed the amount and felt puzzled. Wasn't it supposed to be 10 billion tower coins? At that moment, the tower's administrator says that Grandma Chrysella promised to pay double if she handed over the voice message orbs without listening to the contents. Aileen explained why the amount had doubled to 20,000 times instead of 10,000 times. This condition was set by Chrysella after listening to the curse-filled voice messages recorded in the voice message orb from Stella. If this voice message orb were to be heard by another dragon, Chrysella couldn't let her daughter's marriage prospects be blocked and let her become an spinster dragon. Really, that's good. Sejun was pleased with Aileen's words. Since he hadn't planned on listening to the message anyway, it was not a bad deal at all. Thanks to this, Sejun gained an additional profit of 10 billion tower coins. Humming happily, he went to the field to harvest seeds from the cabbages, radishes, and cucumbers. 66th floor of the Black Tower. The headquarters of the Wizards Association. Knock knock. Oros, an employee in charge of requests, carefully knocked on the door of the association chairman's office and waited. Recently, with the increasing number of strange phenomena in the Black Tower, the volume of exploration requests coming into the Wizard Association had surged, which had put Yona in a foul mood. "I heard she's been sleeping well these days, so why is she like this?" Oros wondered. Although the workload had increased, Iona hadn't been this angry in the past. As he pondered why Yona had become more sensitive lately. "Kaiwo, come in." Yona's reply came, starting with anger at Kaiwo level 1. It wasn't a good start. Clearly, someone had already gone in before him and angered her. Lucky bastard. "This is bad." Oros looked at the request form in his hand with a dark expression. It was a request for Yona, the head of the Wizard Association, to personally investigate the strange phenomena discovered on the 53rd floor of the Black Tower. With so much work already, calling the association chairman. Just thinking about the moment she saw the request, Oros could already hear Yona's voice escalating to Kaiwo level 3. Kaiwo, Kaiwo, Kaiwo. Moreover, the amount offered for the request was far below what it would take to call the association chairman. "I really don't want to go in." Oros, feeling as if he was being dragged to a slaughterhouse, mustered up his courage and opened the door to the chairman's office. As he entered, hot air greeted Oros. It was the result of the angry Yona using magic. If it weren't for the dozens of layers of top-tier defensive magic surrounding the chairman's office, it would have already been destroyed. "It's hot." Oros constantly wiped the sweat streaming down his face repeatedly as he waited for Yona, who didn't even glance at him, to finish processing the documents. After a moment, "Kaiwo, what is it?" Yona, having finished a bundle of paperwork, looked up and asked. Her scrunched-up face was terrifying. "See, Chairman, we've received a request for you," Oros answered in a trembling voice. Kaiwo, did you just say a request for me just came in?" Oros was surprised to see Iona's anger gauge rise faster than expected, even though he thought she would check the request before getting angry. "Why, yes, it's a request from the 53rd floor of the tower." "Kaiwat, from the 53rd floor, bring the request quickly." At the mention of the 53rd floor, Iona's face brightened instantly. "What, yes?" But the nervous Oros didn't realize that Iona's anger had already subsided. After a moment, Kaiwat, I'll leave right away, let them know that." Iona, who read the request form, shouted as she left through the window using a flight spell. "Yes, Chairman, have a long and safe trip." Oros waved enthusiastically at Iona. And then, what was that? Why didn't the chairman get angry? Once Iona was out of sight, Oros pondered why she hadn't gotten angry, but he couldn't find a clear answer. Meanwhile, Kaiwat, Theonim is still on the 53rd floor. If I hurry, I can see him. Confirming the tracking magic placed on Theo, Iona swiftly moved to meet him. 53rd floor of the Black Tower. Meow. Theonim, what's wrong? When Theo stopped just before entering the merchant's passage, Urin asked. I think I'll take a little rest here, meow. As Theo sat down to rest at the entrance of the merchant's passage, Piot and Urin also began to rest beside him. About an hour had passed since they started resting when Kaiwat, Theonim. Yona flew in and snuggled up to Theo's tail. Meow, Yona, how did you know I was here? Kaiwat, I know everything. Theo looked startled, while Yona had a proud expression on her face. Theonim also knows that. Pio, stay still. Slap. Piot hurriedly slapped Urin's mouth. Urin, despite being older than the less than 6-month-old Piot, lacked situational awareness. Chapter 376, Uncle, Don't Get Married. Yona, what are you doing here anyway? Theo asked Yona, who was wrapping his tail and smiling contentedly. Kaiwat, I came to solve a request. A request, meow. Kaiwat, yes, these days in the tower. Though Theo didn't ask, Iona excitedly explained in detail why she had come down. It was a scene that the wizards of the Wizard Tower or the Wizards Association wouldn't believe if they saw it. Iona was known for her scowls whenever spoken to. Hut, I'll go with you, meow. After hearing Iona's explanation, Theo decided to follow her. Because the word red mist in Iona's explanation caught his attention, it must be a fragment of Fenrir's core, meow. There was nothing to lose since he could collect the Fenrir core fragment that Sejun was looking for and spend time with Iona. Kaiwat, really? Iona was overjoyed at the prospect of Theo joining her. Hut, that's right, meow. Which direction should we go, meow? When Theo stood up and asked Iona, Piot and Urin also got up, ready to move. Kaiwat, it's that way. Iona pointed in the direction with her short front paw. At the end of that path was Boar City, a once flourishing city now in decline, once ruled by the great landlord Grid. Hut, let's go, meow. Theo, Iona, Piot, and Urin set off towards Boar City. Black Tower, 99th floor. You have planted agility cucumbers in the magic-infused soil. Your job experience has increased slightly. Sejun was planting cucumber seeds after planting all the seeds of cabbage and radish he had harvested. He felt particularly motivated today. You have consumed Aileen's healthier meatball piece. You must eat all the remaining pieces to gain its effects. 69 pieces remaining. He continued working without taking a break, eating Aileen's meatball pieces for lunch. while Sejun was planting cucumbers. Kaying. Hey, I'm hungry, give me food. Fenrir, who had been sleeping in the sling bag, woke up and whined. Got it, Blackie, it's time to eat too. Sejun placed Fenrir on the ground, filled a bowl with milk, and gave it to him along with some dried roasted sweet potato pieces. Kakilahit Kaying. Hit it, I'll hold it so it can't escape. Perhaps due to the nightmare of the milk lake, Fenrir put his right front paw in the bowl to hold the milk in place. Slurp, slurp, slurp. He ate the dried sweet potato pieces, occasionally wetting his throat with milk. Stay put and eat. Sejun warned the eagerly eating Fenrir and went back to planting cucumbers. After a while, you have completed a 16,528 square meter cucumber field. You have gained 10,000 experience points due to your job trait. A message appeared after Sejun finished planting the cucumbers. Hahaha, this is rewarding. As Sejun was smiling contentedly at the message. Where's Blackie? Fenrir was nowhere to be seen, leaving behind only an empty bowl. While Sejun was searching for Fenrir. Crunch! Fenrir was digging up and eating the radish seeds that Sejun had planted earlier in the radish field. Today, he wasn't in a generous mood. And then, Kakilahit Kaying. Hit, does it taste better because it has my core's energy? I should feed more cores of my core pieces to the butler. He realized that the seeds imbued with his core's energy tasted better when he ate them after feeding his core piece to Sejun. Hey, who told you to eat the seeds? Sejun hurriedly grabbed Fenrir by the scruff and put him back into the sling bag. However, Blackie, you little rascal, how many seeds did you eat? Fenrir had already eaten 200 of the radish seeds Sejun had planted. Kaying. I'm full now, I'm going to sleep. Kurorong. Perhaps knowing that he would be scolded by Sejun, Fenrir quickly fell asleep to digest the core's energy. If you sleep like that, Sejun was annoyed with Fenrir, who had caused trouble and then fallen asleep, and tried to wake him, but seeing Fenrir's cute, peaceful face, he couldn't bring himself to do it. Well, as long as you don't get sick. Sejun gently rubbed Fenrir's bulging belly to help with digestion. After a while, burp. Fenrir let out a hearty burp and grew slightly larger. Fortunately, the sling bag still had some room. But, Blackie, you little. Feeling a bit uneasy about Fenrir's growth, Sejun poked Fenrir's belly out of spite. Who gave you permission to get stronger without asking? Kaying. Fenrir rolled over and hugged Sejun's poking finger. HMPH, I'll let it slide this time. The softness and warmth from Fenrir's touch made Sejun smile gently. When Theo and his party arrived at Boar City. Oh, Jonanim and your companions welcome. Meerkat Tree, who had taken over the market of Boar City after the wild boars loyal to landlord Grid were driven out, came out to greet them warmly. Kaiwat, Tree, where is the target of the request? Could we discuss it inside the inner castle? We've prepared a meal. Kaiwat, all right then. Though Iona wasn't hungry, she didn't refuse. It was because Tree, who kept stretching his neck and looking around anxiously, seemed uneasy. It's a trap. Someone was definitely lying in wait in the inner castle with a trap set up. Kaiwat. It's not bad since I get to spend more time with Theonim. Happy about spending more time with Theo, Iona followed Tree into the inner castle. On the way to the inner castle, though it was a declining city, it was too quiet, as if there was no one around. As they entered the inner castle, clang! The iron gate fell, closing the inner castle door. I'm sorry. They said if I didn't bring Yonanim here. Kaiwat, it's all right. Power of gravity. Yona stopped Tree, who was apologizing to her, and began chanting a spell to prepare for battle. Meow, hurry up and stamp it, meow. Pio, stamp it properly here. Yes. Meanwhile, Theo and Piot were intimidating Tree into stamping a slave contract. Is it because of me again? Thinking that falling into a trap was due to his bad luck again, Yurin began to take money out of his pocket. At that moment, thump thump, a giant red boar appeared from the inner castle. It was Pex, who had been a subordinate of Grid in the past. Jonah, I've been waiting for this moment, the enemy of Gridnim. Pex, who was destined to live in hiding forever, had gained power by chance and thought of avenging Grid. So he took over Boar City, which was once their city, and held everyone living in the city hostage to force the mayor to call Yona. There were some riffraff beside him, but that wouldn't be a problem. He could just kill them all, with his plan. As Pex confidently smiled at Yona. Gravity control. Yona applied 20 times the gravity on Pex. Everyone has a plan until they get hit. Quaying. Go. Unable to withstand the gravity, Pex was crushed flat to the ground. At the same time, his towering confidence was also crushed into the ground in an instant. He couldn't even move a finger under the overwhelming force pressing down on him. He realized he couldn't do anything against such a strong opponent. They were on a different level. He could see his broken white arm bone sticking out through his skin, unable to withstand the gravity. Blood was also oozing out through the hole. His consciousness began to fade. At that moment, "Do you need more power?" He heard the whisper that had given him strength before. Kaiwat, 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 it's over. As Yona was about to deliver the final blow to the dying Pex. Yes, I'll offer my soul, give me power. Pex gritted his teeth and uttered his last words. And then, whoosh! At the same time as Pex's answer, a crimson mist began to flow out and envelop Pex's body. Hellfire! Sensing the immense energy, Iona quickly attacked Pex. However, the crimson mist blocked Iona's attack and forcibly lifted the fallen Pex. Crack! The sound of Pex's bones breaking as he struggled to withstand the 20 times gravity could be heard continuously. When the crimson mist fully covered Pex, a wolf head made of the mist appeared beside his head. Cuck, I am the one who kills dragons, you foolish ones, become my prey. The wolf head roared and moved Pex's body. Wind, create a storm at my command, tornado. Yona hurriedly chanted a spell and cast magic. Wulong! A powerful wind gathered and quickly formed a whirlwind that engulfed the body controlled by the wolf head. However, the whirlwind, which seemed capable of grinding everything to dust, lost its momentum as soon as it touched the crimson mist. Power of gravity. Yona immediately prepared another gravity spell. The crimson mist had nullified hellfire and tornado, but it couldn't nullify gravity control. Mini black hole. When Iona cast the spell, a black hole opened behind Pex and began to suck in everything around it with strong suction. But, Cuck, you can't kill me with that. Pex withstood the suction power with the strength of the crimson mist, but that was his limit. Kaiwat, let's see how long you can last. Power of gravity at my command, strike the enemy. This time, Iona used mini black hole in front of Pex. I like this. Unable to endure it, Pex's body was torn in two and sucked into the black hole. Just as the black orb that emerged from Pex's body was about to be sucked into the black hole. Meow! A golden line slashed through the air, and the black orb disappeared. Theo had used the one meow slash to save the black orb from being sucked into the black hole by sacrificing a bit of his strength. Pew hut, it's a 0.001% power fragment. Theo put the black orb into his bag to give it to Sejun later. A little later, having completed the request, Theo and his party finished the meal tree hurriedly prepared. Kaiwat, Theo Nim, I'll finish up quickly and return. Pew hut, got it, meow. They parted ways, promising to meet again. Late afternoon. Kyung. Dad Kyungi is back. Kyungi, who had been digging up kudzu roots, returned to the farm. Kyung. Dad, eat this. Sure, thanks, let's eat together, Kyungi. Sejun and Kyungi each ate a blue kudzu root peacefully. You have consumed a blue kudzu root of potential. All stat potentials increase by 5. After eating the kudzu root. Kyung. Dad, Kyungi is going for special training. Kyungi stood up immediately. I'll go with you. Sejun followed Kyungi. I need to have a chat with Black Rabbit. It had been days since Black Rabbit reached the 99th floor of the tower, but he showed no intention of going back down. So Sejun planned to ask what was going on. Kyung. Got it, hold tightly to Kyungi. Okay. At Kyungi's words, Sejun hugged Kyungi tightly, otherwise he could fall. Kyung. Here we go. Kwang. Using his telekinesis, Kyungi flew like Superman. And then, Sejun fluttered like a cape behind Kyungi. A moment later, Kyung. Big Brother is training over there. While floating in the sky, Kyungi pointed down to the ground. Pipiag. 9901. There, Black Rabbit was doing jumping squats with a black minotaur on his back, jumping 10 meters with each squat. Pipiag. One more. Black Rabbit finished his last jumping squat and collapsed. Black Rabbit, it's time to go home. Sejun waited for the training to end, and then approached Black Rabbit. Then, Pipiag. Uncle, don't get married. This brat. Black Rabbit's sudden words riled up Sejun. But, Pipiag. Uncle, I'm really scared of the night. After hearing the next words, he understood. Like father, like son, it's okay. Your dad was like that too. Black Rabbit at night be like. Chapter 377, Go, Black Rabbit. Meow, meow, meow. Pio, pio. KQik. Humming a tune, Theo, Piot, and Urin cheerfully walked through the merchant's passage. They were on their way to the 99th floor of the tower. Originally, before meeting Yona, they were planning to find a pickpocket named Kiba, who was 7th on the blacklist. However, I want to see Chairman Park, meow. With one word from leader Theo, their destination changed. Thanks to this, they encountered Jormungandr fragments twice and robbers 8 times, resulting in the obtaining 5 white coins and 150 slaves. The synergy between Lucky Theo and Unlucky Urin was incredible. At that moment, Pio, Theonym, it's a fork in the road. A fork in the road appeared before them. Pew hut, Urin, you lead the way, meow. Theo positioned slave-attracting bait Urin at the front. Yes, should I prepare money too? Pew hut, of course, meow. And so, the 3 of them were devoured by a Jormungandr fragment. A moment later, Theo emerged, having obtained 3 white coins and 20 slaves. Pew hut. Theo's journey was never boring. Black Rabbit, trust me. Sejun shouted confidently. He had the strong lower body radish on his side. But, Pipayak. Uncle, even with the strong lower body radish, it's tough. Black Rabbit, who had already tried the strong lower body radish, spoke in a dejected voice. Well, the strong lower body radish was already well known among the rabbits, so Black Rabbit must have used it too. Above all, there was no way Father Rabbit wouldn't have recommended it to the Black Rabbit, who inherited his genes. Is that so? Still, don't worry. Sejun was slightly flustered, but spoke confidently again. It might be difficult alone, but he would show the power of collective intelligence. If Korea has Naver Web, then he has Slave Web. Slaves, send me foods that are good for the lower body. And so, after Sejun requested help from the collective intelligence and was comforting the Black Rabbit as they arrived at the farm, the slave of the Blue Tower sends 10 bottles of wriggling eel extract, saying it's good for the lower body. Whoosh! With the message, a pillar of light descended before Sejun, revealing 10 small glass bottles. Wriggling eel extract. Extract made from 1,000 vigorously wriggling steel eels. Upon consumption, it activates lower body muscles and enhances reproductive abilities. The taste is extremely fishy. Creator, Zelga Blue Tower Farmer. Shelf life 100 years. Grade B. Ahem. The fishy taste of 1,000 eels. Black Rabbit want to try this, hup. Sejun held his breath. Poppy opened the lid and held it out to the Black Rabbit. Then, peepayak peepayak. Ag, what's this? Black Rabbit screamed, covering his nose. It seemed too difficult to consume it as it was. He would have to make Theo, who liked fishy things, try it later. As Sejun hurriedly closed the glass bottle and put the eel extract in the void storage. The slave of the Purple Tower sends 1 kg of the deadly Chinese bush clover, saying it has side effects, but is immediately effective for lower body strengthening. With the message, a pillar of light descended, revealing a purple herb. Deadly Chinese bush clover. The name itself sounded dangerous. Sejun checked the options of the purple herb. Deadly Chinese bush clover. A poisonous herb grown inside the Purple Tower. It has absorbed enough poison, and its toxicity is at its peak. Upon consumption, it causes poisoning and activates lower body muscles strongly for 10 minutes, greatly enhancing reproductive abilities, but results in immediate death afterwards. It has a very bitter taste. Shelf life 70 days. Grade C+. Is there anyone I need to kill? It seemed that Veronica held some resentment towards me. The slave of the Purple Tower says that they sent what came to mind and asks not to misunderstand. Veronica, feeling a bit guilty, hurriedly sent a message. For now, I need to hide this. Sejun moved everything to the void storage, leaving not a single leaf behind to prevent others from eating it. The slave of the Green Tower asked their subordinates, and they say dragon claws are good for the lower body, sending 5 pieces they had cut off. Next, Ophelia sent her own claws. However, there was no way those claws would have such an effect. It was a baseless rumor. Wow, these claws are as big as my face. Hehe, I should make a sickle or a hoe out of these later. Sejun said, holding Ophelia's claw to his face. Thanks to her, he had sturdy materials to make farm tools. As Sejun put Ophelia's claws into the void storage, the slave of the White Tower asked their grandfather about good food for the lower body but was scolded, saying hatchlings don't need to know, and the slave is now crying. Ajax's message appeared. Sorry about that. I'll make you something delicious later. The slave of the White Tower smiles, saying they want to eat pancakes. Sure, but if you laugh after crying, no, never mind. Sejun wanted to tease, but he held back, not wanting to make Ajax cry again after just stopping. After comforting Ajax, there's nothing good. Sejun was deep in thought. There was no word from Auric, and none of the things sent by other slaves were useful. He needed to send Black Rabbit back quickly. For now, I should try making some nourishing food with what I've got. Wriggling eel extract. Deadly Chinese bush clover. If he removed the poison from the Chinese bush clover with detoxifying green onion and used garlic and samyangju to mask the fishy taste of the eel extract, that would solve the poison and fishy smell. Adding Xinjiang chili pepper and bean sprouts for a spicy and refreshing taste to counter the greasiness of the eel. If he also added the strong lower body radish and octopus to enhance the nourishing effect. It's perfect. Sejun, who ran a cooking simulation in his head, confidently headed to the cooking area. At that moment, Keikiek. Sejun saw mushroom ants bustling around Lee Road. It wouldn't hurt to add a few shiitake mushrooms. Sejun added shiitake mushrooms to his bean sprout eel radish soup recipe. Hey guys, can I have some shiitake mushrooms? When Sejun approached the mushroom ants and spoke to them. Keikiek. The mushroom ants called out to their comrades. Keikiek. Keikiek. 5 mushroom ants approached with a dignified walk, as if saying they have the elixirs. Elixir, shiitake mushrooms have been harvested. Thanks to this, Sejun harvested 5 elixir shiitake mushrooms from the backs of the lined-up mushroom ants. Thank you guys. Sejun expressed his gratitude to the mushroom ants, took the harvested shiitake mushrooms, and went into the kitchen to prepare dinner. Fourth floor of the Black Tower. Now, flesh eaters, eat to your heart's content. Michael, leading the mutated cherry tomatoes from the second and third floors of the tower, spoke. Mutated by the power of destruction, the cherry tomatoes had acquired the menacing name Flesh Eater. Keikiek. At Michael's command, as the flesh eaters slowly moved forward, waves of red and green undulated. The number was enormous, as Michael brought all the cherry tomatoes from the Experience farm. Squirm, squirm. They picked up anything that could be eaten, whether monster or hunter, with their stems and put it into their mouths. As the flesh eaters devoured their prey, red mist gathered around Michael's body. Kukuku, I feel overflowing with power. Michael laughed in satisfaction, feeling an exhilaration he had never experienced before. At that moment, to be satisfied with this level of power, you are still far from fighting dragons. Create more flesh eaters and increase your power. Kukuku understood. As Michael agreed with the whisper's suggestion and infused the ground with the power of destruction. Crack, crack. Flesh eaters began to sprout. Although they were still young, in just a few days, they would grow into adults and start their activities. Thus, the fourth floor of the tower began to be cleared by Michael. However, protect Sejun Nim's farm. When the dragon warriors guarding Sejun's grape farm encountered the flesh eaters, Michael lost all his forces in an instant. The power of the flesh eaters was effective only up the fourth floor level. It didn't work against the dragon warriors. Moreover, the numerical advantage of the flesh eaters couldn't compare to the number of black skeletons. Damn it! Faced with a threat to his life, Michael fled to Earth without a moment's hesitation. And that greatly helped Halfa's. Outskirts of destruction. Halfa's, unable to send locusts to Earth no matter how hard he tried, sent a giant leech to Earth. As expected, the leeches are not efficient. Halfa's spoke in a bored voice, looking at the Earth that had turned a little redder than before. Since he had interfered, he planned to watch until Earth was completely destroyed, even if it took time. At that moment, Flesh Eater, the eighth calamity was born, and its location was between the locusts and the giant leeches. In other words, it meant that they could be sent to Earth right now. Kukuku, a new calamity. Eighth calamity, go and show your power. Halfas sent the flesh eaters to Earth. All right, done. You have achieved the feat of creating the first strong lower body, wriggling eel radish soup in the tower. The recipe for strong lower body wriggling eel radish soup has been registered at Cooking LV. 9. Your proficiency in Cooking LV. 9 slightly increases. With Sejun's shout, the dish was completed. Here, Black Rabbit, come and try this. Since he made only one serving due to the limited eel extract, Sejun hurriedly called Black Rabbit. He needed him to eat it before anyone else did. Pipayak. Okay. Black Rabbit hurried over at Sejun's call. And then, slurp. He quickly ate the nourishing dish Sejun had made. How is it? Sejun asked in an expectant voice. But, Pipayak. I do feel stronger, but it seems a bit weak. Black Rabbit shook his head. It seemed that better ingredients were still needed. Now it's all up to Auric. Auric, show the power of collective intelligence. As Sejun awaited Auric's message with his last hope, the slave of the Brown Tower sends 5 bottles of goblin lower body strengthening elixir with a lewd smile, saying he didn't know you liked such things. Just in time, along with Auric's message, 5 glass bottles containing red liquid appeared. No way, damn it, I'm innocent. Sejun shouted loudly in response to Auric's misunderstanding. The slave of the Brown Tower says with a lewd smile that he knows everything, and that he went through a lot of trouble to get it specially from the Goblin Elder, so please acknowledge his efforts. Auric's misunderstanding was too deep. What do you know? Sejun said in a frustrated voice as he checked the glass bottles. Goblin lower body strengthening elixir. a medicine made by blending things good for the lower body, according to a secret recipe passed down by the Red Goblin tribe. Upon consumption, it activates lower body muscles strongly for 3 hours, greatly enhancing reproductive abilities, but it cannot be stopped in the middle. You might die if you don't have enough stamina. Usage restriction: stamina 3000 or higher. Creator: Elder Attacky of the Red Goblin tribe. Shelf life: 1 year. Grade B. This guy, Sejun muttered. Even though he sent it for me to eat, knowing my stamina is weak, he still sent something like this. He was trying to get rid of me. I knew it from the moment he laughed slyly like that. Sejun resolved to check anything Oric sent him twice, even 3 times from now on. Still, fortunately, this seemed like it would help Black Rabbit. Black Rabbit, how about this? When Sejun showed the goblin lower body, strengthening elixir to the exhausted Black Rabbit. Pipayak. Uncle, thank you. Suddenly, confidence overflowed on Black Rabbit's face. Good. Go, Black Rabbit. When Sejun nodded. Pipayak. Uncle, I'm off. Black Rabbit grabbed the glass bottle and hurriedly ran home. Now, the night was no longer frightening for Black Rabbit. And then, meow, where's Black Rabbit going, meow? Pipayak. Pew hut, I see, meow. Black Rabbit hang in there, meow. Chairman Park, I'm back, meow. Theo, who had brought a lot of gifts for Sejun, returned. Chapter 378, Kahihili, Success. TL note: I have decided to rename Little Flamey to Sparky, which will be now used from this chapter. On a vast ranch in Texas, USA. He-yoving. A horse leisurely running around the wide plain was grazing on grass. The horse finished eating the grass it was eating and moved to eat another grass with a red berry attached, about a span long. And as it brought its mouth to the grass, kaik, the red berry opened its mouth and attacked. He-yoving. The horse, startled by the unexpected attack, quickly ran away, and the flesh-eater closed its mouth again, waiting for the next prey. Fortunately, the next prey soon appeared. Tweet tweet. A sparrow approached, aiming to eat the head of the flesh-eater that looked like a berry. Kaik. This time, the flesh-eater caught the prey and swallowed it whole. A moment later. Crunch. The flesh-eater, having devoured the sparrow, grew in size. In this way, flesh-eaters throughout Texas rapidly increased in size, devouring bugs, mice, and small birds. And then, kakek, the effect is good. Halfas let out a sinister laugh as he watched the earth being dyed red. Theo, did you collect Urin's money well? Sejun asked, attaching Theo, who was clinging to his face, to his lap. Pew hut, of course, meow. There's no money in this world that Vice Chairman Theo can't collect, meow. Look at this, meow. At Sejun's question, Theo, who had been revving up his pride, promptly put his front paw into the bag and took out the money. 1.4 trillion tower coins. 9.9 billion tower coins had been gloriously burned to capture Fenrir's core fragment that was being sucked into a black hole. Pew hut, Chairman Park, how about this, meow? Theo looked at Sejun with a smug smile. Pew hut, Chairman Park, will you still not give me the monopoly on your knee, meow? All right, I'll extend the knee monopoly by 1 month. As Theo predicted, Sejun gave him a 1-month extension on the knee monopoly. Pew hut, everything is going according to my plan, meow. I have more, meow. Having secured a 1-month extension on the knee monopoly, Theo now took out a black orb. This is a 0.001% fragment of Fenrir's core, meow. Give me 2 more months for this, meow. Well, with just this. Sejun received the core fragment with an unimpressed expression. At that moment, you have acquired a fragment of the door leading to the 10th tower. A fist-sized brown wooden fragment separated from the core fragment, and a message appeared. Pew hut, pew hut. Theo smugly laughed with a look that said, can you still not extend it, meow? Fine, 2 more months extension on the knee monopoly. This had to be acknowledged. Sejun had no choice but to comply. Theo had found the incredibly rare fragment of the door leading to the 10th tower. Vice Chairman Theo, have you had dinner? Pew Hugh Hut, I haven't, meow. But before dinner there's one more thing to take out, meow. Theo boldly declared, taking out 31 jewel teeth of Lizin. Pew Hugh Hut, Chairman Park, it's actually a 3-stage combo, meow. With this momentum, I will extend the lap monopoly by 3 more months, meow. Theo's grand plan to gain a total of 6 months of knee monopoly with the 1-month, 2-month, 3-month combo. What? These are the Earth Jewels. Sejun was shocked to recognize the identity of the jewel teeth. How many are there? Pew Hugh Hut. Theo's lips curled up higher and higher in response to Sejun's reaction. Everything seemed to be going according to Theo's plan, but damaged Earth Jewel contains the soul of the Earth attribute god, sealed and devoured by the wolf Fenrir who hunts the god, and the first seed of the Apostle of Destruction. The Earth Jewel containing the soul of the god is damaged, preventing the soul from absorbing the power of the earth. If placed around a farmer with Earth attribute talents, the damaged Earth Jewel will gradually restore to its original form. The higher the level of the farmer's Earth attribute talents, the faster the restoration. The Earth Jewel had a problem. It was damaged when Lizine created teeth with it. That won't do. The item is defective. Vice Chairman Theo, are you playing tricks on Chairman Park? Sejun said with a mocking tone as he checked the options. He was thrilled to knock down Theo's arrogance. Ha ha ha, Vice Chairman Theo, the one with the last laughs wins. And the one who will be laughing at last is me, Chairman Park. Just as Sejun was rejoicing over taking Theo down a peg. Meow, Vice Chairman Theo would never play tricks on the great Chairman Park, meow. Startled by Sejun's words, Theo quickly checked the options of the jewel. And then, meow, Chairman Park, I'm sorry, meow. With his ears drooping, Theo apologized to Sejun in a gloomy voice. My 3-stage combo has failed, meow. No, it's not something you need to apologize for. I can restore the Earth Jewel, Sejun said, bringing a churu treat to Theo's mouth to comfort the disheartened Theo. Sejun possessed quite a strong Earth attribute talent. A talent that only blooms when wearing the straw hat of the Earth god, Patrick, favored by the Earth. Although the talent only blooms when wearing the straw hat, since Sejun wore the hat all the time except when sleeping, it was practically his talent. Chomp chomp chomp. While Theo was happily eating the homemade tuna churro. Is it really true that it gets restored just by having it nearby? Uncertain about the description, Sejun checked the Earth Jewel. Damaged Earth Jewel, 0.02% restoration in progress. The Earth Jewels had already started restoring the moment they came into Sejun's possession. However, at this rate, it will take almost a month. Restoring 31 Earth Jewels at once was too slow. To speed up the process, he put 30 of them in the void storage and kept only one in his pocket. Hehe, the strategy of focusing on one. When Sejun finished organizing the Earth Jewels. Pew Hugh Hut, Chairman Park, since everything went well, so extend the knee monopoly by 3 months, meow. Good things must be shared, meow. Feeling full and happy after eating the churu, Theo smiled broadly and shouted. And then, all right, 3 months extension. Sejun, who seemed like he would refuse, readily accepted Theo's request. Originally you give an extra rice cake to someone you hate. It's absolutely not because he was captivated by Theo's smile. TL, ko wondaenus, ko miunenus, ko nomenus, ko tachenus, ko hanaenus, ko daenus, ko chunanenus, ko gudinus, which translates as you give an extra rice cake to someone you hate, is a Korean proverb meaning being nicer to people you hate, you actually reduce your hate. Pew Hugh Hut, Chairman Park, rub my belly, meow. Theo lay on his back and exposed his belly to Sejun. Pad pad. Hazeli. He indulged him. Pew Hugh Hut. The 3-stage combo is a success, meow. Like that, it ended happily with Sejun and Theo laughing together. A little later. I should bury this in the ground. Sejun buried the 0.00 1% fragment of Fenrir's core that Theo had brought, in the sun-dried red pepper field just like before. Mew, Chairman Park, let's go to sleep now, I'm sleepy, meow. Theo, who had been waiting for Sejun to go to sleep, whined with a voice full of drowsiness. All right, let's go. Sejun headed to bed with Theo. And then, gulp, he ate the medicinal mugwort and passed out. Kur, gorarong, kurarong. As the snores of Sejun, Theo, and Fenrir resonated, the 386th night of his stay in the tower came to a close. While everyone was asleep. Sparky, are you ready? Yes, Flaminim, I'm ready. On the 79th floor of the tower, Sparky was preparing to become the second world tree of the Black Tower. Good, then here I go. Yes. With Sparky's response, Flamy's roots sent a golden apple, the size of a fist, to Sparky. The golden apple was absorbed into Sparky's roots as if it were being soaked in. Then, Flamy Nim, my body feels hot. Just endure a bit longer, it'll be over soon. Yes. Starting from Sparky's roots, a golden hue began to spread, and as the entire tree turned golden. Puh! With a burst of golden light, Sparky explosively grew. Black Tower Administrator Area. Aileen, clutching the crystal orb, was diligently searching for the power of destruction. Gah, why isn't it coming out? No matter how hard she tried, the power of destruction wasn't being detected, causing Aileen to throw the crystal orb in frustration. The crystal orb rolled away and stopped after hitting the wall. At that moment, Wung! The crystal orb vibrated. Huh, did it find it? Aileen checked the crystal orb with a sense of expectation. She wondered if, by some stroke of luck, it had found the power of destruction. However, one of the growth conditions for the Black Tower has been exceeded. Huh. It was a different message. Exceeded. Aileen hurriedly checked the conditions for the Black Tower. Black Tower growth conditions 7-8. Tower Farmer achieved. Create more than 10 new varieties, exceeded 2310. Cultivate more than 330 million square meter of farmland, unachieved. Grow a world tree, exceeded Pottery Sparky. Acquire more than 10,000 pieces of the world's energy, unachieved. Own more than 5 relics, achieved. Achieve 3 great achievements, achieved. Increase the number of entrances to the Black Tower to 120, unachieved. Sparky. There was an additional world tree. Thanks to this, only one more condition needed to be met for the Black Tower's growth, but Aileen couldn't feel happy. TL. If you are confused about why only one is left, whereas the previous message shows 3 as still unachieved, it is because in the case of exceeding a condition, one additional condition will be considered achieved. This was mentioned in Chapter 282. Kyung, Sejun is doing so well. I'm the only one not doing well. Compared to Sejun's recent achievements, she wasn't being much help to him. Kyung. Aileen became gloomy. That's right. Sejun told me to eat something sweet when I'm feeling down. Remembering Sejun's advice, she soothed her burning frustration with the cool and sweet watermelon juice Sejun had made for her. At that moment, thump thump, the great brown dragon, Garrick, waddled into the Black Tower Administrator Area, causing small vibrations. Garrick Opa. HMPH, Aileen, am I still a weak dragon? The 350-year-old Garrick, who had pestered his parents to come here, looked at Aileen and spoke arrogantly. At that moment, thump thump, another red hatchling entered. It was Pyrian, the 550-year-old hatchling of the Great Red Dragon. What, Garrick, you're already here? Pyrian Hyung, you're a bit late. I saw the letter late because I was sleeping. As the two were talking, thump thump, Aileen, hello, Pyrian Opa and Garrick Opa are here too. Following Aileen, the youngest, the 300-year-old hatchling of the Great Silver Dragon, Sylvia, waddled into the Black Tower Administrator Area. Hello everyone. Hello. Next, the 600-year-old hatchling of the great blue dragon, Harkon, and the 400-year-old hatchling of the great purple dragon, Pobai, arrived. Aileen's mass provocation letters had worked perfectly. Kahili, it's a success. Although the hatchling of the great golden dragon, Hocus, didn't come, it was still a success. While Aileen was rejoicing. Aileen, you. Even though you're the youngest. Calling us weak. After greeting each other, the hatchlings decided to teach the impudent youngest who had provoked them a lesson. However, Unai Opaz, I'm sorry. I just missed you all and wanted to see you. Aileen, who had used the mass provocation, had suddenly turned into an obedient and sweet youngest. To apologize, I'll give you this. It's really delicious. It also increases your magic power. Aileen began serving the magic cherry tomatoes, promoting Sejun's crops one by one. And then, oh, it's really delicious. Wow, my magic power actually increased a little. This thing called a sweet potato makes you stronger. Sejun's delicious crops naturally became explosively popular among the hatchlings. While the hatchlings were raving about Sejun's crops. That Aileen, how dare she call me weak even though she's the youngest? Thump. With a proud expression, the 500-year-old hatchling of the great golden dragon Hocus arrived at the black dragon's territory, tightly holding his mother's hand. But, upon arrival, Hocus quickly lost his confidence. Wah, give me money quickly so I can buy sweet potatoes. Buy me peanuts. Corn. Beware. There, the once fearless hatchlings were pestering their parents to buy Sejun's crops. Chapter 379, Aileen can do that too. 38th floor of the Golden Tower. Quagwagwang. Amidst the dazzling sky where lightning struck dozens of times per second, a massive land floated in the air. The edges of the land floating in the sky were ominously dark red, but in the center of the land, there was a large flower garden. Inside the flower garden, new varieties created by Sejun and various other crops were growing. It was Emila's flower garden. And in the light, a figure was watering those crops. It was Emila Ibeans, apostle of the Creator God. As an apostle of the Creator God, Emila had guarded this place according to the Creator God's will for thousands of years. Kids, just hang in there a little longer. Emila said soothingly to the crops. The tasks prepared by the Creator God to drive away destruction were finally being solved one by one. Of course, they had only just begun to be solved. Completing the tasks was an entirely different matter. A path far more arduous than any they had faced so far awaited them. But how is Park Sejun solving the tasks left by the Creator God? Amila said in a voice filled with confusion. Feeling sorry for Sejun, who was too weak to bear the Creator God's tasks, she had given him shoes and cheered him on, and later even saved his life. Saving his life was purely by chance. Sejun happened to be on the same floor as Emila. Emila didn't have high expectations for Sejun. To her, Sejun was too weak, and it wouldn't have been surprising if he died the next day. Furthermore, his status was, well, there was no point in even talking about it. So naturally, she thought other dragons and tower farmers would complete the Creator God's arrangements. However, the results came much faster and entirely different from what Emila had expected. The stabilization of the 9 towers. Cooperation among the 9 dragons. Collaboration between the tower farmers and the dragons. Restoring the divine power of the gods. Cooperation and exchange among the tower farmers. Growing the tower into a great tower. Overcoming the trials of the 10th tower. Lifting the curse of forgetfulness on the 9 dragons, etc. The 10 tasks left by the Creator God to grow strength to fight against destruction. Each task was absurdly difficult. Of course, the Creator God never intended for one person to solve all these tasks alone. But somehow, Sejun had been dragging other dragons and tower farmers by the scruff of their necks and carrying them along. Thanks to that, the possibility of completing the Creator God's tasks before destruction awakens has increased. The light responding to Milla's joy grew even brighter. But, oh no, they've already caught up. Feeling the apostle of destruction tracking her, she hurriedly moved the Creator God's temple elsewhere. This is too much. While Hocus was bewildered by the other hatchling's bravery. Hocus Opa, come on over. Aileen, who had spotted a new customer, welcomed Hocus warmly. That's right, I'm not here to see the other hatchlings. I'm here to show that bratty youngest one how strong I, Hocus Yul, am. Thanks to that, Hocus could remember why he had come here. He was furious. He was very furious. Aileen, you called me weak in that letter. As Hocus was about to get angry with Aileen, recalling the feelings from reading the letter. Hocus Opa, I'm sorry for calling you weak in the letter. I just wanted to see everyone here take this as an apology. When Aileen handed him an armful of Sejun's crops. Well, that can happen, but be careful from now on. His anger melted away like frost in the sun. Okay, try them quickly. They're really delicious. Cuckoo, really. And after tasting the sweet crops from Sejun. Mom, buy me all of these. If you don't, I'll keep crying, wah. Hocus started pestering his mom, who was greeting other hatchlings' parents, to buy Sejun's crops for him. The other hatchlings weren't naturally brave. Their desire to eat more of Sejun's crops made them brave. After a while, Aileen, here's the money. Give me a lot of peanuts. I want 3 watermelons. I want a sack of potatoes. Thank you, Unnai and Opa. Aileen took the money that the brave hatchlings had earned and sold Sejun's crops. As Aileen happily turned the hatchlings into customers for Sejun's crops. Anton, is Aileen all right now? Yeah, she used to have heart problems. Other hatchling parents asked Anton, who was watching Aileen with an expressionless face. She's completely healed now. Anton answered in a cold, detached voice, as if talking about someone else. Really, that's a relief. Congratulations. Congratulations. The dragons gave formal congratulations to Anton, and then, how's the Red Tower? It's improved a lot since I planted those flame beans. What about the Blue Tower? They started asking about each other's well-being to break the awkward atmosphere, and the conversation naturally shifted to their children. My Pobai is already swallowing a grade poison. My Pyrian is practicing hellfire magic these days. My Hakon has mastered making the essence of water. My Hocus is already using lightning. It soon turned into a bragging session about their children. The parent dragons boasted about how exceptional their children were, quickly bringing the atmosphere to life. No, it became too heated. Anton quietly listened to their conversation while keeping an eye on Aileen. As the parent dragons were busy bragging about their children. Guys, look at this, I can polymorph now. Hakon, wanting to show off to his younger siblings, used polymorph magic to transform into a handsome blue-haired man. Hahasa, how do I look? Hakon laughed, expecting his younger siblings to be impressed by him, but Aileen can do that too, polymorph. The youngest, Aileen, used polymorph magic, drawing all the attention of the younger siblings towards her. What? Aileen is younger than us. Mom said you need to be at least 700 years old to use polymorph. As a result, the young hatchlings who couldn't yet use polymorph magic were greatly shocked. Dad, Mom's a liar. I want a polymorph too. Hocus, Pobai, Garrick, and Sylvia went to their parents, demanding to be able to use polymorph magic as well. However, the parent dragons were even more shocked than the hatchlings. Typically, hatchlings could start learning polymorph magic around the age of 700 to 900. This was because you needed to be at least 700 years old to have enough stable magic power to use polymorph magic. Hakon, who used polymorph magic at 600, was considered a prodigy. But to polymorph at 200 years old. Moreover, Aileen was a dragon who had almost no magic power until recently because of her heart problem. What the hell, Anton, be honest, what did you feed Aileen? No, just tell me quietly. Anton, share your parenting secrets. Anton, don't keep it to yourself, tell us too. The parent dragons surrounded Anton and asked in excited voices. I didn't do anything. Our Aileen grew up on her own. Anton answered with the same cold expression and voice, shrugging his shoulders. As he finished speaking, the corners of his firmly closed lips lifted slightly, almost imperceptibly. No matter how cold he tried to appear, Anton was still a dad. At that moment, aunties, uncles, if they eat a lot of these, opas and unnies can polymorph like Aileen too. They're 1 million tower coins each. Aileen seized the opportunity and promoted the elixir-grade cherry tomatoes to the parent dragons. Mom, buy me those. Hocus wants to polymorph too. Dad, if you don't buy those, don't think about playing with Sylvia anymore. The brave roars of the hatchlings compelled the parent dragons to purchase 10 billion tower coins worth of elixir-grade cherry tomatoes each. Afterward, the elixir-grade cherry tomatoes became an essential magic supplement for raising hatchlings. Kihihi, I need to tell Sejun about this when he wakes up. Aileen, now having something to boast about to Sejun, smiled brightly. 99th floor of the Black Tower. On the morning of the 387th day since entering the tower. All right. As Sejun opened his eyes, the tower's administrator says she is pleased to see you awake. Aileen, who had been eagerly waiting for Sejun to wake up, immediately started talking. The tower's administrator says a tremendous event occurred while you were sleeping. The tower's administrator boasts that she has turned all her dragon siblings into your customers. The tower's administrator excitedly says she will now tell you the whole process from the beginning, so listen carefully. Aileen began to recount how she had brought the hatchlings and got them to buy Sejun's crops. Wow, that's really amazing. Oh, how did you come up with that idea? That's incredible. Wow, really? Aileen, you're definitely a genius dragon. Sejun responded with genuine enthusiasm at intervals, helping Aileen stay excited and talk till the end. After listening to Aileen's story, he stepped outside. Master Flamey, who had been resting in the warm sun, called out to Sejun and jumped onto his shoulder. Flamey, how have you been? Good. Having not seen Flamey for a while and worried about her, Sejun felt relieved seeing her leaves more vibrant than before, indicating she was doing well. Sejun walked around the farm, chatting with Flamey. But the grapes haven't been growing well lately. Is it because Pottery is busy being the world tree? Sejun asked Flamey casually as he walked past Pottery. Hee, that can't be. The grapes will probably grow by tomorrow. That soon? Of course. Because I'll make sure of it. Pottery's branches trembled at Flamey's answer. Unaware of this, Sejun continued talking with Flamey and returned home. After having breakfast, he moved to the rice field bathed in golden light. This was the field where Sejun had first planted the rice seeds he obtained from the seed shop. All right, let's harvest. Sejun grabbed a sickle and started cutting the well-ripened rice stalks. Swish! You've harvested 5,619 golden rice stalks. Your job experience slightly increases. Your harvesting LV, 8 proficiency slightly increases. Due to the cold effect of the sickle of freshness, the shelf life of the harvested crops increases by 5 days. You've gained 330 experience points. Thanks to the power, abundance, the harvest was immense. You've leveled up. You've gained 1 bonus stat point. Strength increases by 10. Sejun reached level 80. And then, a job quest has occurred. Job quest, gather 10,000 comrades to help with farming. Reward, unlock level 81, 1 billion tower coins, plus 100 to all stats. Once again, a job quest appeared to block Sejun's level up. All that experience will go to waste. Sejun sighed, looking at the many golden rice stalks still remaining. But you currently have 131,921 comrades helping with farming. You have completed the job quest with overwhelming results. The reward is doubled. As a reward for completing the job quest, level 81 is unlocked. As a reward for completing the job quest, you have received 2 billion tower coins. As a reward for completing the job quest, all stats have increased by 200. This time, thanks to Sejun's tenant farmers, he was able to easily complete the job quest. Oh, today's a day for power leveling. Sejun started harvesting the rice with a flurry of sickle strokes and leveled up 4 more times, reaching level 84. Hazeli. Sejun smiled happily, thinking about eating rice made from the harvested rice. Chapter 380. What is the mission of the World Tree? Black Tower, 4th floor. Block them. Clang. Down with the bone class system. At the shout of Sejun's first Ho Philip, the skeletons cried out as they saw the flesh eaters approaching. Although all the flesh eaters that Michael led were dealt with, their heads were filled with seeds. When the flesh eaters died, those seeds were planted in the ground, and dozens of times more flesh eaters appeared than before. The dragon warriors and the skeletons fought with all their might to fend off the flesh eaters, but the more they killed, the more they multiplied. Eventually, they began to be pushed back. Just as the vineyard was about to be overrun by the flesh eaters' attack. Hello, we are the slaves sent by Theo Park. Theo's new slaves began to arrive one by one. When Father Rabbit asked to stop sending slaves to his farm, Theo had been sending new slaves to the 4th floor of the tower. Thanks to this, the new slaves from Theo kept flowing into the vineyard, maintaining the front line. Black Tower, 99th floor. Chairman Park, what's that? Meow. It smells delicious, meow. Theo asked excitedly, pointing at Sejun, who was cooking while covering his nose with the leaves Flamey gave him. Hee, Vice Chairman Theo, does it smell good? Pew hut, yes, meow, it's a mouth-watering smell, meow. Hee, I knew Theo would like it. Sejun, who was making eel churu with the eel extract he had received from Zelga, smiled, satisfied with Theo's reaction. Since he had completed the quest and received good rewards thanks to Theo, he thought of eel churu as a way to reward him. In addition, he also grilled fish of various kinds, which Theo liked. A while later, Kyungi, let's eat. Sejun, who had finished preparing dinner, called Kyungi. Today's menu was rice, with side dishes of home-cooked meals and grilled fish. And he placed the eel churu in front of Theo. Meow, it's a cat feast, meow. Chairman Park, thank you, meow. Excited by the eel churu and various kinds of grilled fish, Theo thanked Sejun and began to eat. Theo didn't ask Sejun why he was being so kind all of a sudden. Pew hut. I must have done something good again, meow. That's the kind of cat I am, meow. Theo confidently received the feast. At that moment, Kyuha kyung. Haha, it smells delicious. Kakila hit kaying. Hit, the smell is nice today. Kyungi and Fenrir showed interest in Theo's feast, especially the strongly fishy-smelling eel churu. Perhaps due to the strong fishy smell of the eel churu, they didn't show any interest in the other food. Pew hut, I'll share it, meow. Wanting to show off his big brother's dignity to his younger siblings, Theo put some eel churu in Kyungi and Fenrir's bowls. And then, chomp chomp chomp. Kyung. It's really delicious. Kaying. This is super delicious. Theo, Kyungi, and Fenrir ate the eel churu excitedly. Kyungi and Fenrir ate it with rice. Is it that delicious? Seeing the three of them eating, Sejun also became curious about the taste of the eel churu. So he scooped a bit from the glass jar containing the eel churu and tasted it with his tongue. A savory and umami taste swirled around his tongue, if he just added rice to this. Eel rice bowl. It was an eel rice bowl without eel. No, to be precise, it was an eel rice bowl without eel flesh, since it was made with eel extract from 1,000 eels. Sejun's hands began to move busily. Since it was made for Theo to eat, he needed to adjust the seasoning a bit. He added soy sauce, 2 fried eggs. He slew up. Wiping the saliva pooling in his mouth, Sejun mixed the ingredients with rice. You have achieved the feat of making eel extract bibimbap for the first time in the tower. The recipe for eel extract bibimbap has been registered at Cooking LV 9. Your proficiency of Cooking LV 9 has slightly increased. The dish was completed. Before long, the cat feast for Theo turned into a sumptuous grand feast for Sejun. Haha, goodwill is always the best. Gulp. It looks delicious. Seeing the glossy rice grains, shining with a brown glaze, he couldn't help but swallow his saliva. Shall I try it? Just as Sejun was about to scoop a big spoonful of rice into his mouth. Kyung. Daddy, Kyungi wants to mix the fried eggs in the rice too. Kaying. Hey, why do you get to have more? Kyungi and Fenrir presented their bowls to Sejun. Thanks to this, Sejun had to mix the rice for both of them before he could eat. After finishing the rice mixed with the extract of 1,000 eels. It's greasy. A strong sense of greasiness washed over him. He needed something fresh. Sejun got up and took out the 3 times silence pineapple created by Kyungi from the void storage. Guys, eat up. After cutting the pineapple into bite-sized pieces for Kyungi and Fenrir, he popped a slice into his mouth. The fresh tanginess of the pineapple cleansed the greasiness from his mouth. That's refreshing. As Sejun was eating the pineapple with a satisfied smile. Pew hut, Chairman Park, I enjoyed the meal, meow. Now rub my belly, meow. Theo, who had eaten both the eel churu and the grilled fish, climbed onto Sejun's lap and lay down. He was quite heavy, having eaten a lot. As Sejun was rubbing Theo's belly. Kyung. Daddy, Kyungi wants to be petted too. Kaying. My belly too. Having finished the pineapple, Kyungi and Fenrir approached Sejun. All right, lie down, guests. At Sejun's words, Kyungi and Fenrir lay down neatly. A moment later. Gororong. Kurorong. Kirorong. Theo, Kyungi, and Fenrir, who had been petted by Sejun, lay sprawled out and fell asleep. It's time to sleep. Sejun took the 3 of them to bed and, after eating some medicinal mugwort, fell asleep with them. In front of the Golden Tower. I got here first. What are you talking about? I marked this spot since yesterday. I've been here since a week ago. The 8 dragon clans, excluding the great golden dragon of the 9 dragon clans, were fighting over territory. The reason was the red mist. Recently, in order to earn tower coins, the dragons had been eradicating the red mist around the tower, making it increasingly unsafe to hunt. The dragons had to get closer to destruction to hunt the red mist, which was extremely dangerous. So they flocked around the Golden Tower, the only place where red mist hunting wasn't done by the 9 dragon clans. As the dragons were fighting for territory, the red mist gradually enveloped them. And then, thank you, dragons, for coming out to be hunted. The red mist transformed into Kruger, the destroyer of mountains and 7th seat of Apostle of Destruction. The dragons, who had been fighting each other, turned their eyes towards the Apostle of Destruction. Their eyes were full of fighting spirit. Having honed their aggression by hunting the red mist, they were no longer the cowardly dragons who used to be terrified at the sight of an Apostle of Destruction. We don't need to fight each other anymore. Massive tower coins incoming. Yeah, let's take it down before others come. Everyone okay with equal shares? Okay. Exchanging glances, the dragons cautiously surrounded the Apostle of Destruction. Kruger, who expected the dragons to flee, found himself surrounded instead and seal. He hurriedly tried to break the seal, but fire. Whoosh. The dragons launched a preemptive breath attack, and the price of carelessness was death. Wow, tower coins. How much is all this? It was the first victory achieved by dragons other than the clan heads against an Apostle of Destruction. As the morning sun illuminated the 99th floor of the Black Tower. All right. Sejun woke up. And then, meow. He got up from his spot, equipped Theo on his lap, went outside in. The stamina corn, invigorated by the farmer's footsteps, expresses its gratitude by boosting your strength. Strength stat potential increases from 2003 to 2004. He walked around the farm, letting the crops hear his footsteps. But how much are my stats now? Sejun hadn't checked his stats lately because it often made him feel discouraged. Still, since all his stats increased by 200 yesterday, he figured he must be stronger now. Sejun decided to check his stats with determination. Stats potential: strength 1973-2004, stamina 2336-2406, agility 1691-795, magic power 3321-3561, mental strength 159-500. Am I strong? Although the numbers were high, Sejun found it difficult to judge whether he was strong or weak, given that he was on the 99th floor of the tower. He often thought, with these stats I must be strong, but he'd faced near-death experiences many times, keeping him humble. But I'm stronger than Blackie, aren't I? Sejun was confident he was stronger than Fenrir. After checking his stats, Sejun turned and headed back home. On his way back, "At this rate, I can harvest them by evening," just as Flamey said. Sejun spoke as he looked at the grapevine branches laden with tiny grapes. Then he went to the kitchen to prepare breakfast and ate with Theo, Kyungi, and Fenrir. After breakfast, just as he was about to start his morning chores. "Pio." "Hello, Sejun Nim." "Hello." Piat and Urin appeared. They had stopped by the kingdom of Kav on Theo's orders. Theo had sent them to check if King Louis of the kingdom of Kav had found the land deed for the 80th floor of the tower. "Pio." "Theo Nim, here's the land deed for the 80th floor of the Black Tower." Piat handed the land deed to Theo. "Pew Hut, Chairman Park, I brought this, meow." Theo handed the land deed to Sejun. "Good job, Vice Chairman Theo." "Pew Hut, I always do well, meow." "Yes, you do. You two did well too." Sejun patted Theo's head and encouraged Piat and Urin. "Pio." "Sejun Nim, there's more." Piat pulled out a large sack from his pocket. "What is this?" "Pio." "It's egg fruits. Sparky the World Tree asked me to bring them to you." "Sparky the World Tree." "Pio." "Yes, Sparky became the World Tree this time." "Really? I'll have to go congratulate it later." Sejun opened the sack and found it filled with elixir egg fruits in yellow, red, green, blue, and 4-color stripes. Unlike the grapevine, Sparky was hardworking as soon as it became the World Tree. What is the mission of the World Tree? World peace. No, you idiot. What? It's not, when you were becoming a candidate for the World Tree. Forget that. From now on, the mission of the World Tree is to bear delicious fruit for Sejun Nim. Got it. Thanks to this, the grapevine even had to undergo mental training from Flamey. Thus, Sejun obtained the land deed for the 80th floor and the elixir egg fruits. "Guys, go inside." Sejun canceled all his plans and had everyone enter the void storage to move to the 80th floor of the tower. Once everyone was inside the void storage, clang! Sejun closed the void storage and swish! The summoning function for the initial engraving of the Black Tower 80th floor farm land deed is activated. Sejun unfolded the land deed of the 80th floor, and he disappeared. Thus, Sejun vanished from the 99th floor of the tower. This is nice. Unaware of Sejun's disappearance, Kaiser, Kellyan, Ramter, and Tyr were sipping samyangju with snacks made by Sejun at the fountain. "We'll be gathering again in just a few days." Indeed, it's been almost 3 months since the first meeting. "That's right." "Ramter, what do you mean right? This time, we're meeting at your Red Dragon's territory." "What? Then this isn't the time for this." At Tyr's words, Ramter shouted. Since all the leaders were gathering, there was quite a bit to prepare before the meeting. Especially the food. At the first meeting, The great golden dragon Artemis Yull had treated the other dragons to his cuisine. As a result, it would be embarrassing for Ramter if he neglected the food preparations for the next meeting. However, Ramter was confident. I'll just ask our Sejun to make it. Even though time was tight to prepare from now, Sejun could make it possible. Sejun. Ramter called out for Sejun, but of course, Sejun, who was no longer on the 99th floor of the tower, couldn't answer. This won't do, Aileen. Ramter hurriedly went to find Aileen to figure out Sejun's location.